Welcome back to HPP, the podcast that covers college basketball and the NBA draft inside and out. I am Rich Harris. Thank you for joining us again. I am joined by Bunni, Jake Copestick, and Drew Barton. And today the entire show will be dedicated to March Madness as we will be picking a collective bracket. Gentlemen, how you doing today? Are you excited? The tournament, as we speak, we're doing this on Tuesday evening. So the 16 matchup between Corpus Christi and who else? Fairleigh Dickinson?
No, Southeast Missouri.
Southeast Missouri.
Tight game.
Who's winning?
Corpus Christi by 2.
Damn it! I have Southeast Missouri in the Final Four. All right. So there we've pissed off everyone in the southeastern quarter of Missouri, which is just better. You know what I mean? Drew, you got to remember when we first started, we used to piss off entire countries.
Yeah. I'd rather have to deal with a couple of Missouri natives than the entire country of Canada. Although the Missouri natives might be more of a threat.
We haven't heard a peep from Canada in a long time. All right. So what we're going to do, I suppose I should review what we did in the conference tournaments. We had a point scoring system. I was trying to do it so that we could convert it throw it in with our weekly picks, but I realized there's no really good way to do that. So it turned into a point system, but the rules that we spoke about last week still applied. And I won. However, I'm wondering, Jake, if you took away my points that I earned, I believe let me see. You know what, Jake? Actually, if you take away those first 6 tournaments that Bunni and I picked the week before, you would have won last week.
Yeah. You did well. Yeah. I got rolled.
Yeah. That happened when you picked Texas Tech and Oklahoma State to win the Big 12.
Yeah, that didn't work out, did it? It didn't work out.
No, sir.
Sure didn't.
No, sirree. Ohio State, though, was a good call. And,
I think they would have won it with Sensabaugh don't get hurt.
I can't argue with that. Rodney Gale. Wow. Yeah. Did he really come on? And Bruce Thornton. So, I mean, I assume Sensabaugh is going to go into the draft, but everybody else should come back. What a good team they should be next year. All right. So what we're going to do for the bracket is we're going to rotate. So what we'll do is we're going to actually start in the Midwest because tonight Pittsburgh and Mississippi State square off. So we want to kind of pick that game before it tips off. By the way, since there's 4 of us, we're going to need a tiebreaker. And I suggest we use the same tiebreaker that we used last year, which was we have the lower seed moving forward. Because what you'll find is when you do a group think, collectively people tend to be, there's always going to be at least 2 conservative people that are going to go with the chalk. It's hard to get 3 people to pick an upset. So hopefully we'll agree on some upsets and then be 2-2, and then the tiebreaker will be the lower seed. So I think otherwise we won't have any upsets. All right. So, and the way it's going to work in our point system for this is you get 10 points for every correct Final Four pick, 10 points for the correct runner-up, 20 points for the correct champion, and we're each going to pick in each region. We're going to have what we call a sleeper pick, which is a 7th seed or higher. And for each region, we're going to have a sleeper pick. And in those for those picks, you get 5 points for every time they win plus the round. So first round you get 6 points, second round 7 points, blah blah blah. All right. That really has nothing to do with our collective bracket, but at the very end, we're going to make our picks. But as we go through the regions, maybe we should make our sleeper picks, or should we save that to the end? Guys,
probably do it by region. I think just because we're already talking about that region,
Right,
Might as
right.
well just end it up with a team that we think can make a run.
Sounds good. All right. So we're going to start in the Midwest. Drew, you got Houston at Northern Kentucky. And as it stands, we have no idea what's going on with Marcus Sasser.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing here, right? I mean, that's their first team All-American, the driving force of that offense. And it boils down to if they want to win this whole thing, I think they're going to need him. With that being said, I think you have to take Houston here. We saw a team similar to this, defends with high intensity, crashes the glass, athletes all over the court. And these guys made a Final Four run last year. I think at the 1 seed, I think it's just going to be too much for Northern Kentucky. If I remember correctly, Northern Kentucky also likes to slow it down and play a little bit more methodically. And that just plays into Houston's hands. You know, to beat this team, especially to upset them, you've got to knock down shots. So if you're going to play a slow, methodical, run the clock and try to find a shot, I mean, these guys this is controlled chaos is what Houston does defensively. And I just think the athleticism is going to be too much. Sasser, no Sasser, you got to take Houston.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Bunni?
Yeah, I'm with Drew on that one. I think Sasser has a growing and the deal with the growing. I think he's probably gonna sit out the first round game, be there the second round game, but I think it's something that's going to be lingering all tournament. But I'm with Drew on Houston.
All right, Jake, is it unanimous? I mean,
yeah, and I don't think I need to say anything. I don't need to say they win this game with or without him, even if they have to maybe start him on the bench and then bring him on and not throw him in there. Like, maybe they suit him up, but if they don't need him, they don't play him. But regardless, Houston's going to win this game, whether they have Sasser or not.
Right. All right, so now we'll move down to the 8-9 game, and that's Iowa versus Auburn. And by the way, this is in Birmingham, Alabama, so Auburn should have a little bit of a home court advantage.
Yeah, this one was really hard for me to pick. Even just looking at it as I was kind of going through the matchups this morning, I think these teams are pretty different in terms of playing style. You have an Iowa team that's going to try to put points up on the board. They shoot the three really well. Offensively, they take care of the ball. I think on Ken Palm, they're like third in terms of adjusted offense. And you have an Auburn team, which, offense isn't really their calling card, but they're athletic. They play hard. They're kind of like a Houston light. At least that's how I kind of view them. I'm going to go with Iowa because I think the three ball is the great equalizer. And while I think Auburn's defense will travel, they might have a bit of a home court advantage. I think Iowa can get hot. I think they have the best player on the court in Chris Murray. And I think that's going to be just enough to get them over the hump. But, I mean, as we all know, these 8-9 games are basically a toss-up, especially when you have two teams that play different ball. But I'll take the Hawkeyes in this one.
Yeah, I've been first of all, Fran McCaffrey doesn't have a great record in the NCAA tournament. In fact, his guys always seem to go in, the last few years seem to be going in as like a Final Four potential team.
Underperform. I mean, the Garza team was super disappointing. Super
disappointing. Number two is I still consider this a one-man team for the most part. Auburn's got that little bit of a home court advantage. I heard on ESPN someone says, well, Auburn can't score. Well, you know what? Iowa can't play defense. So I think that's gonna solve Auburn's scoring problems playing against Iowa. I like Auburn.
I'm with Drew on this one. You could have said it better. I think it was a toss-up. I had a real hard time deciding between Auburn and Iowa, and it really came down to, hey, Iowa has the best player on the court. And I think when you're in an elimination game, it's going to be in his hands a lot more at the end of the game. I think that's going to be the difference. Chris Murray, a lot better than anybody else by a long shot. I like Iowa to squeeze out Auburn.
See, this game's tough. Obviously, all fair points with Chris Murray being the best player on the court, especially in a kind of a coin flip game. I have Auburn here, though. It's just because I really don't like Fran McCaffrey in the tournament. It's hard for me to back him. He's never made the second weekend before. It's just really, really hard for me to back him in a spot like this. So I'll take the team that plays defense. I think the home court advantage will help. I'm not going to put like a ton of stock in that. But regardless, I'm going to take Auburn to win this game. Of the 8-9 games, there's two of them I think I have a pretty good read on. This is not one of them, and it's very tough for me. I did take Auburn.
All right, so we're gonna have Auburn moving on because they are the higher seed. Let me ask you this, gentlemen: do you want to keep on going down through the first round and then move on to the next round, or do you want to follow this out as far as we can?
I say we go just down, just finish up
Okay,
the first
down.
round.
All right,
That way
all
we
right.
kind of know where we're at.
All right. So now we have Miami, who could be missing Norchad O'Meara, which is huge for them.
Again.
And against Drake, who's a very, I mean, they've only lost 7 games on the season. They're one of those teams who, when you're thinking about possible upset or two, they certainly come to mind. This is tough.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, I love Miami because we've talked ad nauseum. Jordan Miller's my guy. They got Nigel Pack. I mean, they have a 3-headed guard rotation that can, at any night, give you 20. Each one of them is capable of doing it. They can all shoot the 3. They can all run a little bit of point guard action. But it boils down to if Norchad can't go, this team has literally no size. I mean, if you go on the most of their, roster sheets, they basically play 2 forwards. It's Norchad, and they have one guy that comes off the bench to give you about, I forget who it is, about 10 minutes a game.
Walker. They have Walker and
Yes.
freshman AJ Casey.
Yes, and I worry about that being an impact. I mean, he's a tough kid. He plays super hard. He's undersized, but if he's not out there, I worry where they're going to get the rebounding, where they're going to get the interior presence from. With that being said, I'm going to stick with Miami here. I just think that 3-headed rotation is going to be enough to get them through a first round because those guys are all upperclassmen. I think they all know how to rise to the moment. They've all been here before. Isaiah Wong did carry this team that had no expectations a year ago to an Elite 8. I'm going to go with Miami, but Norchad's absence, or if he's even just hindered, really, really concerns me, especially with Trace Jackson-Davis potentially looming large in the next round.
Yeah. I was impressed. Excuse me. I was really impressed how Miami hung in there with Duke without O'Meara because they lost him immediately. And of course, you don't get much bigger than that Duke team. So I think they're going to have. I think they'll have enough to beat Drake, but I expect it to be fairly close.
As Drake goes, DeVries goes.
Mm.
And I agree with everything all you guys said, but I think Miami has a perfect matchup for DeVries, and that's Jordan Miller. And I think he's going to have an issue scoring. And if DeVries is struggling, it's the rest of the Drake struggles to score as well. I like Miami. I think there's just too much talent. I agree 100% with you guys saying as far as O'Meara, it's a big, huge loss. I think Drake is a popular pick for a lot, but I'm going to stick with Miami here.
All right.
I guess I'll be the odd man out here and take Drake. Mooney, I agree with you. It does worry me because I feel like the last couple of years, like last year, I was on South Dakota State. That was the public dog, and then it was a loser, and I was upset because I took it. And unfortunately, it seems that it's this way. It's like Harry. I don't know if he's going to play. Larinaga said he was day-to-day. And then he also said that they're preparing to play with and without him. So I don't really – at most, sounds like they're going to be playing with a not 100% O'Meara. And because of that, I am going to take Drake here. I know it might be the popular pick, but of the 12 seeds, I think this is the one that's got a damn good chance to win. So I'm going to take Drake here. I'm a little weary about it. There's other teams I like to get upsets here, but I'm going to take Drake because I do think even with O'Meara in the game, I still think they have a fighting chance to get the win here.
No, that I disagree with. But I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he'll play. I think they're going to save him for the next round. I think they have enough. But anyway, it was 3-1 Miami, so Miami moves on. Here's another interesting game, another one of those mid-majors that we've talked a lot about this year, and we at least I like a lot, and that's Kent State, and they will be facing Indiana, one of my teams that has really I've been riding them a lot this year, and they've come through quite regularly for me.
This one was hard for me because I haven't seen a lot of Indiana, especially ever since I started my new job. I haven't been able to watch a lot of the Big Ten. I know that they've been kind of Purdue's kryptonite, and there's a lot of people high on Purdue. But I've gone with the favorite every game so far. I have seen Kent State play when they played my Gonzaga Bulldogs. They gave them a run. They gave Houston a run early in the season. And since then, they've just been winning. And I think that speaks volumes. So I think Kent State might just have enough here to squeak by Indiana. I know Sincere Carey, I think, can carry this team for a game. I'm not super confident. I just haven't seen enough Indiana. I know Trace is incredible and he's great, but I'm going to take Kent State. I think that they've played really well, and when they've been challenged, they've always risen up to it. And this is the type of game where if that small seed can hang around, it just might be enough to put it in the heads, get Indiana a little bit off their game, and then Kent State can just pull it out. But I'm not super confident about this one.
Right. Well, I just think Trace Jackson Davis is going to be too much for them. Yeah, so I like Indiana here, but I think it's going to be reasonably close.
Yeah, Kent State seems like another real popular pick with a lot, and there's a reason why. Extremely together, very physical. Sink carries a great point guard. But what catches me about Carey as well in that MAC league, which they basically just give away points, they're shooting just still awful from the floor. Carey's shooting just under 30% from three. And there's no one as good as Shafino and Davis on that floor. And I think they're just going to be too much, and they're going to have just a little more points to overcome what Kent has to bring.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, very tough. I think this will be a close game, and Kent can hang around for sure. But I'm gonna roll with Indiana here. Definitely think it's close. I think this is another game, just like the Drake Miami game, where Kent can hang around toward the end to be in this game and have a shot to win. But I'm gonna roll with Indiana, even though it's a guards game in March for sure. I think they'll get a good game from Hood Shafino, and Trace Jackson Davis will bring him home here.
Yeah. All right. So now we got to pick Mississippi State and Pitt. And but I mean, we can run out either. Whoever we run out will be the team that we ride with. So even if we pick Mississippi State tonight and Pitt wins, if we run Mississippi State out, and Pitt's the team that will inherit Pitt, essentially. But anyway, so let's talk about that game. Federico is very questionable, if not doubtful, for tonight. I think that's a death blow to Pittsburgh against that big Mississippi State front line.
Yeah, I agree. If he can't go, I just don't know if they're going to have enough in the tank to just deal with some of the physicality. So I'll probably just have to go with Mississippi State off that information. It is March, and your best player matters. And we're not talking about a Sasser situation where they're playing a 16 seed. We're talking about two teams that are already kind of in that same bubble, evenly matched, and you're taking away Pitt's best player.
Well, he's not their best player, but he's their best interior,
an
interior
important
defender
piece
for sure. Yeah,
yeah, like an important piece to counter what Mississippi State's going to do. I just think it's going to give Mississippi State the edge.
Right. We're all thinking that, right, guys? Because we talked about
Mississippi with me agree 100% what Drew said.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with Mississippi State.
So now we have Mississippi State matching up now against Iowa State in the first round.
I'm gonna go.
Go ahead, Drew. Sorry, Mike.
Oh no, you're good. I'm gonna go Iowa State because the defense has been legit. I know they're 10th they're in the top 10, I believe, when I was looking at it earlier today in terms of the suggested defense. I think they have enough scoring. Shooting wise, they get enough shooting, I think, just to kind of be balanced on offense. You've got two guys giving you around 13 a game in Jaron Holmes and Gabe. Was it Kalsher?
Yeah.
Kalsher. So I think they just are balanced enough to squeak out and get by Mississippi State, even though Mississippi State's going to be a big physical team coming in. But I'll go with Iowa.
Yeah, I like Iowa State to win this one 31-29.
Agree. I mean, I think there's just enough just enough offense for Iowa State to get by a struggling Mississippi State offense. So I like Iowa State as well.
Yeah, they both have crappy offenses, to be honest.
Yeah.
I actually like Mississippi State here. So I look at this. Obviously, like the teams in the playing game, they have success in the first round. I don't think the two teams that are going to be playing that could face off against TCU are going to beat TCU in the first round. So with that being said, if there's a team from the first four that can win, I think it's going to be Mississippi State versus Iowa State, because they're two defensive teams. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a fight in the mud, and it's not going to be pretty. And I think that favors Mississippi State. They kind of play the same way. It's all built on defense, but now they don't have Caleb Brill. They don't have a guy who can knock down some shots and give you some breathing room. I'm going to take Mississippi State. I think this is kind of the perfect dancing partner, I guess, so to speak. I guess this is like the perfect team you could play where it's like I just think they could outbuck them and they could
I get it. I get it. It's gonna, like I said, 31-29 in that kind of scenario, anybody can win. One thing about Caleb Grill, I want to make clear is he missed a lot of time, this year, and also played some other games hurt. They act like, he's like, Iowa State's missing Pete Maravich or something. I mean, he had that one game where he went, crazy. And that, I think that was against North Carolina. And then like for the next 3 games, he went something like, 2 of 12 from 3. Grill has been streaky as hell his whole career. Please don't stop giving them an excuse. This team will go down early. If it's not here, it's going to be somewhere else. But we all went with Iowa State in an ugly affair, except for Jake. So Iowa State moves on. So now we have Xavier against Kennesaw State. There's another thing I want to say about Zach Fremantle. Zach Fremantle hasn't played for quite some time. So people are acting, again, when you listen to people, talk about games, it's like he just went down yesterday. He's been out for God, what, like 2 months now? The team hasn't played as well without him as they did with him, but they still been playing pretty damn well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they're still very good. My problem is I think they'll lose a little bit later. I'm still worried about the depth that they have because it's really like they play like
I'm worried about their front
guys.
Court. Right. Yeah, the front court depth gets, if Nunji gets in foul trouble, what do you do?
Yeah, they have Cesar Edwards, but that's it.
Right.
That's really it. They're really only going to play 6. They'll maybe play 7 if Cesar Edwards gets some time, but
or they have to use Jerome Hunter or something like that.
Yeah, well, he'll start he starts in the Fremantle spot. Desmond Claude, I think, has actually been playing very well off the bench. I like what he's had. He's been able to finish at the rim a little bit, knock down some shots. But in this game, still even without Fremantle, they're still very good, and I don't think that they'll get upset here in the first round. I think Sean Miller's coming out with something to prove, and they're gonna beat Kennesaw State, unfortunately, send home one of the good stories we've had so far.
Yeah, very much so. Drew, we kind of stole your thunder. Jake and I are both going with Xavier, so
I'm going to go with them. I mean, I know, Rich, we talked about Silly Boom way back when we were still, early into the season. I think the Xavier team has a really bulletproof resume when you just go and look at the teams that they played early in the season. They played Duke, they played Gonzaga, they played Indiana. The Big East was really talented this year, and they only really had one kind of bad loss at Creighton where it was kind of, close to 20. Other than that, they've either hung tough with or beaten every team in that conference. They knocked Creighton out of them. They got the revenge in the playoffs. They did lose to Marquette twice, but I think they beat them the first time they played, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they have a win over them.
They didn't look good in the Big East final at all.
No.
And I think that's coming to depth. But not only were they missing Fremantle, who, like I said, has been out for a while, but they also didn't have Kai Tandy and another guard, Kraft.
Cam Kraft.
Yeah. Now those guys aren't critical players, but when you group them all together, it's like
it's a loss.
Yeah, it's like you're asking the mascot to come give you 5 minutes here.
Right. But I just think that this is a team they've won at a very high level. They played a super tough schedule. They're going to have one of the kind of underappreciated players in the country, in my opinion, in Sully Boom leading the way.
Oh, I love Sully.
And even with Fremantle out, you still have, I think it's 4 guys giving you 10 plus points. So they're still solid, balanced scoring attack. They're a Big East basketball team. They shoot the 3 well. They move the ball well. They don't really beat themselves, and they're battle tested. So I'm going to take Xavier.
Bunni, I know you like Kennesaw. I mean, we've already moved Xavier ahead because 3 of us, but anything you want to say about Kennesaw
Yeah,
and their chances here?
One thing I want you to remember about Kennesaw State, their whole team, they have 3 underclassmen. I am worried about Fremantle being out. Xavier's not deep to begin with.
Right.
And when you look at a team like Kennesaw, they have 4 wings that play identical, meaning they can all shoot it and slash it. And their big man by the name of Desmond Robinson is 6'8", 260, and was the ASUN Defensive Player of the Year. When you have that combination, you have something. I'm impressed with this Kennesaw team, and I got them beating Xavier.
Wow. I will tell you this. If it's close, Kennesaw loses because they can't shoot fouls.
Maybe. If they get to that position, it's a hell of a problem to have.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm just saying. Yep. You got to, the thing of it is, you really want to go here. I mean, your champion better be able to win 6 games in a row. That's and if they haven't come close to winning 6 games in a row, like a Michigan State or some of these other teams that win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1, they're not going to win it because they haven't done it all year. All right, so let's move on. This is a great game. I love this game. Texas A&M versus Penn State. I'm gonna move around and let other people lead off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Bunny, what do you think about A&M and Penn State? What a great game, huh?
Yeah, I love Penn State. I love the way they're playing. I like their shooters. I just think the athleticism of Texas A&M and the way they defend is going to be able to take away those shooters, and they're going to be able to solely focus on Pickett. I like A&M winning about a 7-point game here against Penn State.
Yeah, I also have Texas A&M. Not only is it the defense, I think it's the physicality, and I think it's the rebounding as well. I love what Buzz Williams did in the portal this year. Last year, I unfortunately bet on them in the SEC championship against Tennessee. They did not have any size besides Henry Coleman. I think Ethan Henderson, maybe, who kind of played sparingly. They need another big. He went out and got one, and Julius Marble from Michigan State, who's also a Texas native. I think that's what the difference is in this game. They're going to crash the offensive glass, some size, some physicality, some defense that's going to get up into the shooters. I think that's what the difference is here. This is one of my favorite plays. I've already played Texas A&M minus 2.5 in the first round here. I think the Aggies are going to move on, set up a very good game against Texas in the next round, but we'll get to that.
A&M's been far more consistent, and smart people would pick them to win this game. But I grew up in Pennsylvania. Penn State, you got to break the tie.
No, I mean, I agree with what the guy said. I think this is, Texas A&M's game to lose. I know they didn't look great against Alabama, but again, this is a team that's coming in with a really solid resume, playing in a really tough conference. And, I know in an Iowa or Auburn game, I took Iowa because of the shooting, but I think that the defense and the physicality, I think Texas A&M is better than a 7 seed, in my opinion.
Oh,
I think they were underseeded.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Penn State got a bad draw here, because this is a team that's going to compete and come after them. I think Penn State's a 10 seed at best. I think Texas A&M is higher than a 7 seed. So I
think Penn State earned their 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament. It's the question is, how much did that take out of them? If they played like they played in that tournament, they can beat a lot of teams.
I mean, they shoot 40% from 3 as a team, and that's always dangerous in March. But
they have 2 really, really good players in Pickett and Lundy. And, I actually moved Lundy up the draft board, a little more this weekend. So now I got Pickett in the top. I got Pickett in our top 175 or 75, and Lundy's getting ready to climb on our top 100. But anyway, we got A&M moving on. Now we have Texas against Colgate. Colgate to have a shot here, Jake.
No, I don't think so. I saw this team play once when I was at the Cathedral Classic during Thanksgiving. They played against Penn, and Clark Slacker and Jordan Dingle combined for, I believe, 59 against them in this game. So if you're going to ask these Colgate guards, Oliver Lynch-Daniels and the freshman Braden Smith from Seattle, who's been playing very well. Now, You have to guard Marcus Carr. You have to guard Tyrese Hunter. And you have the Big 12 Sixth Man of the Year in Jabari Smith. It wasn't national.
And what about Morris? What about Morris is
exactly.
coming on too?
Arterio Morris too. Like, there's a lot of great guards here. There's some athleticism that I don't think Colgate's going to be able to keep up with. So I'm going to roll with Texas. And hopefully this is Matt Langle's last game at Colgate because he takes the Temple job. I'm hoping.
Oh, no. I've been talking to people at Notre Dame, and I told the Irish that they should look into him.
You should tell him, you should force Tommy Amaker their way. Please, Matt Langle, I think, is Temple's last hope here, man. Like, don't give me Mark Turgeon. I'm going to be really upset if they get Mark Turgeon. I need Matt Langle. I can't have Mark Turgeon on board.
What about Chris Mack?
He said he's not ready to come. He said he's turned down offers.
Wow.
I don't think he's ready to come back yet. He also said when he took the Louisville job that Louisville would be his last stop. He wouldn't coach high school, college, pro, anywhere else. But that ended very quickly. So who knows if he wants to get back in it. But I don't think Chris Mack's ready just yet.
All right. What do you think here, Bunni? Colgate have a shot?
I've never been a fan of the Big 12, and I looked at this matchup. I saw Texas play early in the year against Stanford, and it seems like every game was exactly like that Stanford game. They went in the stretches where they struggled to put the ball in the hole. And for the most part, it didn't change. And I'm not buying into what they did against Kansas, and I'm not buying into everything that everybody feels about Texas. Colgate, I've seen numerous times for a reason. Extremely fun to watch. When you have a basketball team, they check all the boxes. True point, true shooting, true small forward, power forward, and a big man. They are a 3-time Patriot champion. And I told myself, if Colgate was a 15 seed or better, I was not going to be scared of the matchup, and I was going to take Colgate. And I'm going to take Colgate here.
Wow. So I'm taking Texas, Drew. Who you got?
I'm going to take Texas here. I mean, it boils down to, Rich, Jake, you guys have all made good points. I just watched this team beat a projected 1 seed by 20 in back-to-back games, more or less, in the span of a week and go win a really tough conference tournament. They've got to be feeling good. And, we've all said it at some point, guard play is king here, and they've got a great group of them. And, fun fact, I scouted Arterio Morris in high school, and the kid can play. And as he comes along, that just gives them another rotation piece that can help come in and control some tempo. He's a good athlete. He's quick. Just kind of give him a little bit of a boost. I don't see how Colgate over. It's just going to be too much for him.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an odd stat about Colgate. I don't know their rankings because I turned them into percentiles for my cheat sheet but percentile wise, Colgate, one of the most efficient offensive teams in the country. They are at the 100th percentile for 3-point shooting, and they're at the 7th percentile for foul shooting.
That's a weird one.
That's odd. That is odd. All right, we got Kansas at Howard. Anyone? I'm going to make this quick in games like this. Anyone that think Howard has a shot?
No.
Nope.
No. I
don't either. All righty. So Kansas moves on. That, by the way, is in Des Moines. All right. Now we have. Wow, this game is going to be fun. Arkansas at Illinois. And, I know Illinois kind of petered out at the end, but, I don't know, Drew, if you were on the show at that time, but, I kept on saying, this Illinois team, man, I can see them getting to the Sweet 16. But every time, for every game they come up, like when they beat Texas, they throw up some kind of stinker in there, and I really think
they got blown up by Penn State after that game, didn't they?
Yeah. What it is though is they're relying on a lot of freshmen, just like Ohio State was, and now they haven't had EPS for the last week or two because of a concussion. So, but anyway, these teams love to run. They're very athletic. It's going to be a can't miss. I mean, got to watch this game. So go ahead, Bunni, what do you think?
I like Arkansas. I agree with you, everything you're saying. I think Arkansas, with Smith coming back, and I think they're just starting to get in their groove. I've been saying it for a little while. They were a little bit disappointing in the tournament, but in the conference tournament. But I'm just waiting for this team to turn the corner, and I think now's the time.
Yeah, I agree. This is the 1-8-9 game. One of the two that I feel like I have a pretty good read on. Illinois too inconsistent for me. I'm gonna roll with the Razorbacks here. I think they pick up a big win. I think they can give Kansas a run for their money. But in this game, yeah, I think Nick Smith is the difference. He is a good game here. They start to get into a groove a little bit, like Bunni said. So I'm gonna roll with the Razorbacks here. Even though they've had some bumps along the road, I've liked them all year. Illinois just can't back them being that inconsistent.
You know, it's funny that somebody's going to lose here in the first round, and I don't think any of us would be shocked if one of these two teams made it into the Final Four.
No, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, I'm going to take Arkansas too. I'm going to go with the Razorbacks. I mean, Rich, before I had to step away, we were really high on this team. They were playing such good basketball. Their only loss early on was to Creighton in a battle in Hawaii. I think losing Trayvon Brazil obviously hurts this team's ceiling. I mean, that's a double-double forward. But he's been gone for like most of the year. And
yeah.
They've had some rough patches. I know they had like a 4 or 5 game losing streak. They didn't end the season well, but they did have to go play Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, I think Auburn and A&M in a row. It's a young team, but I think they have the talent.
Not as young as Illinois, though.
Let's say not as young as Illinois. They got Ricky Council leading the charge, so they do have a veteran upperclassman who's still there to kind of stabilize things. And then I've liked Anthony Black since I saw him in high school. Obviously, they're getting Nick Smith back.
I love that kid.
I love Anthony Black.
Even if he never becomes a shooter, I still think he's going to be an effective pro. Because he just impacts the game in so many ways, and he busts his ass. In this
plays above his age.
In this day and age, you want people you can count on to bust their ass.
So I'm going Arkansas.
Yep, me too. All right, so here we got two mid-major darlings, St. Mary's at VCU. Bunni, I'm going to let you start this off.
VCU's best player is Ace Baldwin, and possibly the country's best on-ball guard defender is Logan Johnson.
Right.
And I see him completely taking him out of the game. And St. Mary's is physical. They're tough. They're kind of like a little mini UCLA. I like St. Mary's moving on.
Yeah, I agree here. I don't know if you can see behind me. I have my old brackets hung up because I'm a sicko and I just am fanatic. So, but on one of those old brackets is a St. Mary's VCU game. I believe it was 2017, and I remember thinking, I'll take the team with the fiery defense, the press, the fast pace. I don't want to take the team that might not be as athletic, that plays at a slower pace. And St. Mary's ended up beating them. So I've learned my lesson, Randy Bennett. I'm going to roll with the Gales. I think Bunni brings up a great point. Not only Logan Johnson, but you have two of the best on-ball defenders in the sport, Ace Baldwin and Logan Johnson. But I think he's got a great point that Logan Johnson can neutralize that, and I'm going to take St. Mary's to win here.
Drew?
I got to go with the Gales, man. They're a hometown team. My girlfriend's a St. Mary's alum, so she will literally slit my throat tonight if I don't pick them. I know, obviously, as a Zags fan, I root against St. Mary's throughout much of, if not most of the year, but I've got to give the team respect. I've seen them play. I'm a little bit worried depth-wise. They're not a very deep team. They do rely, in my opinion, a little too much on a freshman in Mahaney to generate them and kind of bail them out and come up with big offensive plays. But this team just competes, and they play basketball the right way. I mean, we saw this team dismantle a Trace Jackson team last year in Indiana. They outplay them in pretty much every facet of the game. They'll find a way to win this one. And I'll begrudgingly give it to them. This is a team I wouldn't want to play. If they are able to knock down shots, because offense can be the Achilles heel here. If they can just knock down shots, they're a tough out because they don't shoot themselves in the foot and they don't give you a chance to, they never let you blow the game up. They always keep it tight. They always keep it close. And it comes down to execution. That's what these guys do.
If games were based on athleticism, VCU would blow them away. And I'm not saying that because St. Mary's isn't so athletic, which they're not, but VCU is very athletic with Nunn, Watkins, Baldwin, and who's that sophomore with the huge vertical? Skinny sophomore.
Nick Kern?
Yes, Nick Kern Jr. I mean, these guys they can jump and everything, but you know what? They offensively, they just, beside Baldwin, they don't really have a second, at least in my opinion, they can struggle to score at times because they just and even Baldwin's not the most efficient, guy. So yeah. But athletically, boy, this team's got it. All right. Now, this game's going to be played in Albany. UConn at Iona. UConn should have plenty of fans there, and Iona should have their share as well.
I like UConn. UConn just more athletic, just better. They're starting to play real good ball. They're getting back to that form that made them the number 1 team in the country for a good stretch. I like UConn.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with UConn as well. However, I like this Iona team. I was out on them. They lost a couple games. Quinn Slazinski was got hurt, and then they announced he was out for the year. But they've strung together a bunch of wins in a row. They win the MAC. I think the defense here, especially with the on-ball defense from Walter Clayton and Dennis Jenkins, will give Tristan Newton problems. I think that will end up being UConn's Achilles heel, is that Tristan Newton will have a bad game on both ends and will kind of take him out here. I love the press. I think they have some size in Osborne Shima and Nelly Jr. Joseph to match up Sanogo and Donovan Clingan, but I'm going to take UConn here in a close game. Let's not forget Danny Hurley, since he's been at UConn, never won a game in the tournament. Now he's going to play Rick Pitino. It's definitely a tall task, but I'm going to take UConn in a close one. But if Slick Rick were to pull this out, I don't think many of us would be that surprised.
I will say this. Iona has 2 pro prospects. Now, I'm not saying that they're high-level pro prospects, but they're on our draft board, and they're not like number 900 and number, 901. Nelly Jr. Joseph and Walter Clayton are very good players, and I just haven't seen them enough. I've only seen Iona play twice this year. So I haven't seen them enough to make up my complete mind, and I don't think either of them are coming out. Joseph's a junior, Clayton's a sophomore, so I think they're both there at least one more year. But these guys have potential, and keep an eye on. Drew, we're already moving UConn on. Do you have anything to add?
No, I do agree with you. I think this game's a lot closer than people think it's going to be. And I think coaching is going to be a big part of that. I also do think that, UConn hit that rough patch in the middle of the year when they started Big East play. And I think that kind of maybe messed with people's perceptions. People have forgotten how much of a buzzsaw this team was to start the year. I mean, they crushed Alabama. They crushed Iowa State. So I think UConn is just a better team, but this is a game that I could see very easily being under 7-8 points.
Right. All right. We have another play-in game. Our friends from Nevada against Arizona State, two of the last teams to get in, and I think Nevada was the last team to get into the field. So Bunni, who do you like between Nevada and Arizona State?
I like Nevada to get that done. I've been high on them all year. I'm not real high on ASU whatsoever. They take a lot of bad shots. They turn the ball over a lot.
Yeah,
I think Nevada has been struggling down the stretch here, but
yes,
they have 3 great players, and I think that gets it done.
Yep. I will say Darian Williams, by the way, Darian Williams, Marquise Noel, I'm going to repeat this at the end of the show. I should have said it at the top. Both are not going to be with us again this week, which is very understandable. Nevada didn't plan on, when they originally made the plans, to be in the play-in game. So it's almost impossible for Darian to join us this week. Marquise, I haven't heard from K-State, but they dropped 2 in a row. I'm sure they have their heads somewhere else. But I'm also pretty sure that we're going to have both players on the show soon. I'm not making this up. But it seems like every episode I say they're going to be on, and then every episode they're not. But anyway, they won't be here. I like Nevada. It seems like it's always those teams that people say, shouldn't be in. Those teams always win 1 or 2 games. This year, that team is Nevada. I think they handle Arizona State. I think they win relatively comfortably, 7-8 points.
Yeah, I'm not an ACU guy at all. I think that their resume is a little bit wonky. Like, if you look at it at first glance, you see some wins on there against some really good teams. Then you realize that this is also a team that lost by damn near 50 to USF. So I think Nevada's just better. ACU always is more likely to find a way to take bad shots, turn the ball over at a bad time. I think Nevada wins this one.
It's close for me. I think I'm going to roll with Nevada, though. You give me the coaching advantage. I would take Steve Alford over Bobby Hurley. One problem, though, with Nevada, offensive rebounds, they're not great at. And unfortunately, look, so I think they'll win. And you know what? I was going to talk about the TCU game. I'll take Nevada here, and then I'll save that for when they actually have to play TCU.
Right. So, well, go run with it, because we got Nevada moving on to play TCU in the first round. By the way, those games, these games will be played in Denver. So we got Nevada at TCU, two teams, two favorites of the show. We've been big fans of TCU all year.
Any word on Eddie Lampkin?
Yeah, he entered the portal. He's done, unfortunately.
Wow.
Apparently, people have been reaching out to him, and he's a hot name, so he's done.
How bizarre.
Yeah, which down the line.
I knew he was, wow.
Down the line, it hurts TCU's outlook for me. I think in this game, they'll still have enough. Nevada team that's not going to crash the boards on offense, which you're going to need in this game, because that TCU defense is going to get after you, get into you. I think this could be a game where Jared Lucas potentially has a rough game because he shoots he's a great shot maker, but if some of these are coming off movement, he's taking some wonky shots. I feel like this could maybe be a rough game for him. And you got, like, this TCU team is going to, without Eddie Lampkin, they're just going to murder you on the glass. They do a great job on both ends. Doesn't matter how undersized they are. They have a lot of very athletic forwards. Go and get the ball. It's almost like the Houston model. Yeah, they're not a great shooting team. One of the worst three-point shooting teams in America. That's all right. If we miss one or two, we'll get more opportunities and we'll finish inside. So I love TCU all year. It really hurts that Lampkin's not here. I will take them. Whoever comes out of this game, but if we're saying Nevada, I'm going to take TCU to beat Nevada.
I personally, I've seen both teams quite a bit, and I just cannot see Nevada. They just are not a fast team. They don't play at a fast pace, and part of the reason is they're just not fast. And TCU, I just think, is going to run them right off the court.
I think Lampkin adds a lot to TCU, and I think that loss hurts them. When you don't have your big man, you're one of the worst shooting teams in the country. It's a recipe for disaster. I like Nevada's team. I'm gonna have the Wolfpack advance here.
All right, Drew, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with TCU. I've liked Mike Miles Jr. all year. He's a solid scorer. I know he's not much of a shooter. He's all right. I actually really like Damian. Was it Damian Bao?
Oh yeah.
I just think he does a lot for you away from. I mean, yeah, he's giving you 13 a night, but you go back and look at this guy's game log. It's finding a way to pull down 10 boards, or he's hand out 9 assists. Like, he does so many other things away from just scoring. So I think the two-headed guard play is going to be enough to get them through this game. I agree that Lampkin hurts because you lose that size and you lose that rebounder inside, and especially if you're not making shots. But I think it's enough to get through this game at least.
If I may add one thing that may change your guys' mind, I am officially 1-0 in the tournament as Texas A&M Corpus Christi just moved on. So I'm at 100% right now, guys. So I don't know. I haven't lost yet. So I'm on a heater. Official heater.
Southeast Missouri.
1-4.
If Southeast Missouri didn't have Southeastern in their name, I wouldn't have any clue where the hell they were.
So I just want to add that.
All right, Drew, I'm going to let you run with the next game because we have Gonzaga at Grand Canyon. Or not at Grand Canyon. This game's in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, look, Rich, you know where this is going. These are my guys, man. This is my team. If we want to get away from just the hype of this being the squad I root for, this team is coming off, in my opinion, probably their most important win of the season, not just because it was for a WCC title, but it was the type of game where it looked like they played angry. It looks like they played locked in. Everybody was contributing. This wasn't just the Drew Timme show. I think the Achilles heel for this team a lot this season has just been, well, Drew's going to bail us out. We got Drew Timme, so hopefully he gives us 25 and 10, and we'll figure it out. Everybody showed up, and it was against the rival. It was a playoff setting. I'm going with the Zags if that wasn't obvious. I actually, looking at this, kind of like their path. I know that that's something we'll get down to later, but I've got to go with them. They're going to have the best player on the court by far. and they have enough complementary pieces where they only need maybe 1 or 2 more guys to come along for the ride. And they do have that 5-headed guard rotation / wings. Any one of those guys can come up and make big shots, play good defense. And then you got Anton Watson, who I think is criminally underrated as he is like the Draymond Green of college basketball. That's the type of player he is. And when he's playing at his peak, this is a tough team to beat. Give me the Zags.
I wonder if Anton is listed on anybody else's draft board like he is on ours.
He needs to be. He also got snubbed from a second-team all-conference nomination, which was criminal in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, horrible.
Jake,
Nice analogy on Watson. Yeah, real nice analogy on Watson on the green. Yeah, I'm with you on Gonzaga.
Yeah, Grand Canyon would have a wonderful backcourt if Jabon Blackshear was around. He was the player of the year in the WAC last year, and now they have it's Rodney Harrison, Rayshawn Harrison.
Yeah.
And he's a excellent player too, though he's not ultra efficient from deep. Grand Canyon though plays sloppy. They play sloppy, and this is not the type of team that can beat Gonzaga. You need a methodical, grinded out team to put Gonzaga to sleep. I don't think Grand Canyon can do that.
Yeah, I agree. I love watching Grand Canyon because they have like the greatest home court advantage ever, and it's like a big party. It's awesome. I had a friend who was in a tournament 2 years ago in Indianapolis when they were playing, and he goes, "You couldn't tell who was winning or losing the game because the fans were just hyped and they were cheering the whole time." So I think it'll be fun. It'll be a fun game to watch. I'm going to go with Gonzaga here as much as I like watching the Lokes play.
All right, next round is a tough one. It's a 7-10 matchup, Northwestern and Boise State. Bunni, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, Northwestern, what a surprise they've been this year. Boise State, all 5 starters average in double figures this year. And what you're going to find, led by Degenhart, they got Shaver out there too. And what you're going to find with some of these teams that have a real good start by but are not deep is they're going to perform a lot better in the tournament than they did in the regular season. Because in the season, they're going to be a lot more with a certain rotation where your best players aren't really playing the whole time. That's not going to be the case in the tournament. I like Boise State. I think they have a better 5 than Northwestern, and look for them to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna roll with Boise State as well. I probably shouldn't be picking all the Mountain West teams because it's probably a complete recipe for a disaster. But I'm gonna roll with the Broncos here. Like what Bunni said, love their starting 5, Max Rice and Shaver. I think this is a good game for them. I like the guard matchup here with Shaver and Max Rice going up against Boo Booey and Chase Augie. But I think the swing in this is a big game from Tyson Degenhart. Can score inside, can stretch the forward courts as well. So I'm going to roll Boise State here, and I'm a big Leon Rice fan as well. So I'm going to take the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos. I don't think much more has to be said. I mean, first off, always got to support my Zags. Leon Rice was a longtime assistant there. I think Boise has quality wins on their resume. Yeah, I totally agree with Jake. Every time I roll Mountain West teams, they're out my way, and yet they always find a way to disappoint. But I think Boise State, I think they're going to get this one.
Yeah, I think it's tight. I think it's going to be tight, low scoring. Probably 50s, maybe low 60s. But yeah, I'd lean toward Boise. All right, we have UCLA, which of course is missing Jalen Clark and maybe also missing Dembona. Their freshman center, which turned out to be problematic in the Pac-12 championship game against Arizona. On the positive side, Amari Bailey, the freshman wing, combo guard, whatever you want to call Amari, he's really blossomed here in the last month of the season. He's looking like the player that I thought he was going to be when I originally had him at the start of the season in lottery range. And I think he's already worked his way back into the first round discussion. But if Bona is out for a long time, which he's not supposed to be, by the way, it's a shoulder bruise. So I don't think he plays against Asheville. and then he comes back the next game. And so, as much as I love Drew Pember, I got to go with UCLA in this matchup. What are you thinking, Drew?
Yeah, I'm going to go with UCLA. I just think that even without Clark, there's just too much on this team. I know, Rich, we talked about Bailey a lot when we were doing our way back when we did our preseason analysis. And I think you might have had him as your freshman of your top freshman coming in.
No, yes,
or did you
I
change
originally picked a guy named Brandon Miller, and then I was like, no. On second thought, give me another Bailey.
Well, regardless, it only took you 4 months through the season, but he's starting to look like it. I mean, that game against Colorado, he was awesome. He was really good against Arizona. That dunk should have counted. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes. Yes. What? Ow! What did he? How did he foul a guy who's standing in the restricted area?
I don't know.
That was the worst call of the year.
Worst call of the year. I mean, especially because Pele Larson went down and got a nice dunk too. That would have been a great back and forth. But anyways, this UCLA team, I have my kind of core tenets of a good March team, and they check a lot of those boxes. According to Ken Palm, they're the number one adjusted defense in the country. They have a really good, legitimate floor general in Tiger Campbell. Jaime Jaquez is coming off his best year. He was the player of the year. I believe he was a second-team All-American. And Marley Bailey starting to blossom. And I think Bona might even play in this game. I can imagine if he doesn't, fine, but I could totally see him. I think he shoots up in this game if they needed him to. Like, if he had to play, he'd play. I just think they're too good. I think UCLA is just too good. They're going to win this game.
Bunni?
Jalen, I've had every single week and month, all year long, I've had UCLA going to the Final Four. That Jalen Clark loss was huge. Jalen Clark was UCLA's identity. Adam Bona, yeah, he's questionable. I have a feeling he may not play just because, hey, it's a 2-15, going to match up. We're going to move on, going to give him a little bit more rest. Drew Pember is a guy that UNC Asheville has given the ball to just about every possession. And the other kid on their team is, who did I have written down here? Tejan Jones is one of the top 10 three-point shooters in the country. That's a 3-level scorer, senior, 6'5". I got UNC Asheville upsetting UCLA.
Whoa!
Drew Pember touches the ball. Drew Pember, you can make the argument that he's the best player on the floor with the way he plays, and if he gets it going.
Well,
I just think no Bona, no Clark. UCLA is not to begin with those two, are really an efficient scoring team. We saw them just about blow a 20-something point lead to USC at home. They squeaked it out. Yeah, I got UNC, and I think Pember is going to literally play all 40 minutes and touch the ball literally on every possession. I got UNC Asheville with the upset.
Jake, you gotta weigh in here, because if you also pick Asheville, then we have Asheville moving on.
I'm not going to pick Asheville.
I will say this: when Pember went up against Arkansas, he did nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, so with that being said, I'm gonna roll UCLA. Sorry, I had to take a bathroom break. I texted you, I texted Bunni. I was like, I don't know who's gonna see it first, but gotta skip out of here for a second. But good thing I came back and didn't miss any games. I'm gonna roll with UCLA here despite the injuries. They are gonna have Bona back, correct? Or is it been announced?
Well, it doesn't seem to be
kind of.
Yeah, it seems like yes, they expect him to be back.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be shocked if he sat this one out.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if he sat on the bench and didn't start, and then they'll see how the game goes.
I think he can play if he needs to play. If they feel that they need him, he can get out there. It's not that bad.
Right.
Yeah. And with that being said, yeah, I'll take UCLA.
All right, so we'll move over now to the South region, and we have Alabama against Corpus Christi. Anyone think Alabama's going to lose?
Nope.
All right. So now we have an 8-9 matchup between Maryland and West Virginia, and this one, that's a tough one.
Another real good one. Like I said at the beginning, not big on the Big 12. Going to go with Maryland.
I disagree. This is actually one of the 8-9 games I think I have a good read on. I didn't think I had one on Iowa Auburn. I thought I really liked Arkansas in the other game. This is the other game I really like. Maryland, whether it was under Mark Turgeon, whether it was this year under Kevin Willard, they're not good away from home. And unfortunately for them, this game's not being played at the Xfinity Center. Add in the fact that Kevin Willard, not a guy who has a lot of success in the NCAA tournament. I will take West Virginia, the more battle-tested team, the tougher team. I think their defense and their physicality reign supreme here, and they move on to face Alabama in the second round.
I actually looked into this to see how bad these teams were on the road at Maryland, because I knew Maryland really stunk and was really good at home. They're 2-9 on the true road games. West Virginia is not much better, 3-8. I like Maryland in this game. I just think they have a little more offense. I think they have a little more talent, a little more athleticism. If the three best players, in this game are probably on Maryland. If you ask me, I mean, Stevens, Mitchell, but still, I mean, yeah. I just think Maryland has a little more talent, a little more depth.
I'm gonna roll with West Virginia. And when you actually when you look at the numbers, I know a lot of us are used to West Virginia being the brutal, tough, just a Bob Huggins defense.
They're not. Actually,
they're not this year. If you look at the advanced numbers, their offense has actually been much, much more efficient this year. I agree with Rich in that, I'm not 100% sold on Eric Stevenson or Trey Mitchell being like the guys, but I think there's enough. They give you enough to get through this game. And, I mean, I also have some faith in Bob Huggins in March. I wouldn't want to have to coach against him. I think they have the coaching edge. This team played a pretty brutal schedule when you just look at all the teams they had to face. And they picked up wins over Texas Tech, Iowa State, Kansas State, who I really like, and TCU, who we all have liked on the show. So I think West Virginia is going to get through this one. But I think this is another one of those 8-9 games where this could be a one possession down to the last 30 seconds. Whoever has the ball last wins kind of game.
Right. All right, so West Virginia moves on with a tie. Next, we have San Diego State and Charleston. This game is being played in Orlando. What do you think, Jake?
So this is another game I really like. I talked about it on my other podcast. This is one of the bets I made kind of as soon as the lines came out, and that's San Diego State minus the 4.5. I think this could be the fool's gold 5-12 game where everybody sees how good Charleston's been. They get up and down. They shoot threes. They're 31-3 going into this tournament, tied for the most wins in Division I this year. I'm going to take San Diego State. Now, the thing is, Brian Butcher's never won a game in the tournament, unfortunately. He's had a lot of success in the regular season at San Diego State. Mm-hmm. This year, they do the double. They win the regular season. They win the conference tournament. Experience, guards, height, shooting. They have everything you could want in a mid-major. They're deserving of this 5 seed. And two completely different styles here. Pat Kelsey, even when he was at Winthrop, his last 6 seasons there, they were a top 50 tempo team. They were second last year. They're still top 50 this year at Charleston. They want to run down and pull a bunch of threes. You're not going to be able to do that on San Diego State. They defend the 3-point line very well. They play at their pace, which is slow. They don't run on you. You're not going to be able to run on them. I think, like I said, this is the fool's gold 5-12 game, and I'm going to take the Aztecs to win and Brian Butcher to get his first win in the NCAA tournament.
I agree with you, Jake. I love the Charleston team, and their offense is really dependent on 5-out offense and really dependent off penetration, beating their man, and either kicking to one of the wings for a 3. I don't think they can do that against the San Diego State team. I think their guards are physical, athletic, and is going to be able to guard everybody one-on-one. I feel like Charleston would have a better matchup against a Purdue, for example. But you couldn't ask for a worse matchup than a San Diego State. I like San Diego State to win this one.
Drew?
Yeah, I'm again, we're picking a lot of Mountain West teams. San Diego State always finds a way to kind of disappoint. I mean, look, as always, they're a really strong defensive unit. I think they came in at 10th in the country in their adjusted defensive ratings. They don't have any bad losses on their resume, but they don't really have any super high-level wins. I mean, they rolled through the Mountain West, but outside of the Jim Maui, they didn't really play a lot of people in the preseason. So, I didn't get a good read on this team's ability to hang with the big dogs. But Charleston's not really one of the big dogs. I'm a little bit scared of the offense. I mean, Bradley's the only guy giving you double-digit scoring a game. I know Darion Trammell's close, And Bradley looks like he took a step back offensively. You know, maybe that's because he had to share the backcourt with Trammell, but he went from averaging close to 18 a game down to like 12, 13. I think they just have enough. They are a deep team. I think they go like nine or 10 guys are getting upwards of double-digit minutes, so they have the bodies to throw at you. But I'm going to give San Diego State the nod here, but I am a little bit worried. There's definitely flaws in this team, but I think they're just a little bit better, a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one of Charleston's main advantages, they throw 9, 10, 11 guys at you. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
San Diego State is one of the deepest teams in the country, so that cancels that out. So I'd like San Diego State to move on. All right, next game, a team we talked about a little bit last week. Furman is against, this is a 4-13 matchup, Virginia and Furman.
Furman seems to be another real popular pick everyone's talking about as far as an upset.
Well, they have two really good players in Bothwell and Slaughter.
Slauson.
Yeah, Slauson, right.
And no question they're good, but this is Virginia, and Virginia is the ACC. I believe the regular season, no, they did not. Did Miami win that? Virginia, just too much. I like the Furman team, but I don't think they're up to Virginia's level. I like Virginia to move on.
Yeah, I was looking over Virginia's schedule. You know, even their losses this year, like they didn't, you know how like when Maryland lost some games by like 20, 30 points, you know, when Virginia loses, they barely lose, which to me is always a sign of a good team. And so, yeah, I don't think, I think this Virginia team is not whole, but I think they have enough to get by Furman.
I actually love Furman in this game. This is another one of the bets I placed as soon as the lines came out. I took them plus 6.5. It can spread you out, like you said, two good players, and Mike Bothwell and Jaden Slauson. I just love that they can spread the floor. They're going to force Virginia to play out. Virginia played a good amount of man-to-man in that Duke game. They trapped a bunch of ball screens to force pickups and force some deflections and turnovers. But I'm going to roll with Furman here. I just think this Virginia offense is that bad and has been that bad down the stretch. I saw them play at Boston College, and they were hardly in this game.
Right. That's the one game.
That was the one bad. They lost by 20. That was bad.
They were in that game for like 10 minutes. They couldn't score. Kihei Clark drives to the basket. He's not overly fast to get there. He gets a shot block because he's so small. And now they don't have Ben Vanderplas to stretch the floor with a broken right hand. He's done for the year. Right. I'm going to take Furman in this game. I just think Virginia's offense is that bad. Furman just have to try and guard these flare screens. I saw Duke get lucky that Virginia didn't knock some shots down, but they got a bunch of open looks off of flare screens. You have to check Isaac McNeely. You have to check Armand Franklin. But outside of that, they'll take a bunch of mid-range shots and a bunch of bad looks. I think they scored 49 points in 40 minutes against Duke. This offense is terrible.
They looked horrible against Duke.
Yeah, they looked.
But they didn't lose by that much. They didn't lose by that much. No, you know, we talked about last week. Furman was the type of team that could get a win or two. You know, it's just those two guys are talented enough. And this is an experienced team. This is a team that should have made the tournament last year.
Yep.
You know, I think this is going to be like a 4 or 5 point game, but I still like Virginia. So, Drew, you got to break the tie here.
This one's tough. I've always had a soft spot for Virginia. I like Bennett. I love the way that they defend, the culture he's built over there. But I think I'm going to give Furman the nod. And I think Jake hit a lot of the key points. I mean, I think it's a bit fool's gold that, you know, they don't have any bad losses, but I also don't see any, like, I don't remember Virginia having any wins this year where I was like, God damn, they just were hitting on all cylinders. That's peak Virginia. Like, they could win it all. Their defense isn't as good as it has been in the past either. I mean, this is a Virginia team that traditionally, we're talking arguably the number 1, 2, 3 best defense in the country. Their adjusted defensive ratings at 25th, so still really good, but not nearly as dominant. You know, you do have 3 double-digit scorers, but they're not efficient scorers, and they could struggle to keep pace with even just going against an average offense. And Furman has 2 guys that could, you know, have a game and really open up things for them. I just don't think the defense is good enough for them to be able to bank on just overwhelming this team. I don't love it. I love Reese Beekman. I think he's a hell of a player. but offense is the Achilles heel. And yes, defense, wins championships and travel, but you got to be able to score some points.
And I
you got
suppose
to be able to do that.
I suppose that's why I like Virginia. I mean, we have Furman moving on now. You made it official, but Beekman's going to be checking Bothwell, and Slauson isn't really an offensive player. He's kind of like a do everything else guy. He's score on putbacks, rolls, cuts, stuff like that. But Bothwell is kind of what really makes this offense tick. But yeah, I think Furman is a good upset pick. All right, we got Creighton versus NC State in Denver. So nobody has home court there.
I think Creighton's a really, really good complete team. I think Kalbrenner really completes them. I like their starting five. I like Creighton a lot. I'm going to go with Creighton in this.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. This is another boom, boom, boom. These are like three of my best bets that I love. I put in as soon as the bracket came out. It's Creighton -4.5. NC State team, they're going to press. I saw Creighton break the press when Nova tried to put it on him, and they ended up getting a bunch of open threes and breaking the game open. Their starting five, obviously, well, Bunni, you have to love the starting five because there's not really much else to love besides that because they don't have many guys that play a ton of minutes. But you put Trey Alexander on Terquavian Smith, and I think that's a recipe for success here. Terquavian Smith only shooting just over 37% on the season, and he's only hit that number once in the last month, and that's when he exploded for 30 against Virginia Tech in the tournament. I think this Creighton team is going to give them problems. Kalkbrenner is going to bother DJ Burns all night, and Creighton gets the job done here, and they move on. I think they win this game pretty convincingly.
Drew?
Yeah, give me the Blue Jays. That one losing streak they had early in the season is history. You look back, they lost three of those games were to teams that finished with 2 seeds. Kalkbrenner's back. This team, they're not deep at all. They are a 5-man team, but that 5 can hang with anybody when they're all hitting.
I don't know if they're a 5-man team, but yeah,
come crunch time, they'll be riding the same 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's not like NC State's rolling in depth. Smith has been ice cold, and when he can shoot a team out of a game, and he has of late. The team in general has been struggling, so I like Creighton to move on there. Next up, we have Baylor at UC Santa Barbara, the winners of the Big West.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Baylor here. I don't think there's much of a debate. I like their offense. Don't love Baylor's defense this year, especially in the perimeter, but I think it'll be good enough to get by the Gauchos.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Jake on this one. I think Baylor's just a better team. I watched the Gauchos wrap up their conference championship game the other night, and I don't think they're a bad team by any stretch. I just think Baylor's a better one, and so I'm going to go with the Bears.
I think Santa Barbara is, this is a bad, opening round matchup. It doesn't give them, they really played a shit schedule this year, really weak, out of conference. But, they have 3 really good players. In AJ Mitchell, Miles Norris, and Andre Kelly, the Cal transfer. And, but yeah, Baylor's just got Baylor's Baylor. So I just don't see Santa Barbara overcoming that.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you there. I like Baylor. I like those three guards, and I think it's going to be too much for Santa Barbara.
All righty. Another Mountain West team. We have Missouri, 7 seed against 10 seed Utah State in Sacramento. Who do you like here, Bunny?
Still waiting to hear the deal on Isaiah Mosley. I know he was in uniform. He was on the bench, suited up in their last game in the tournament.
I don't think they're going to bring him off. I don't think they're going to risk the chemistry.
Yeah, so I think that's a big deal. But regardless, with Mosley or without Mosley, I like Missouri to move on.
Mosley is like Caleb Battle. And I think that's the reason why you're not going to see him unless it's an emergency, because you put Battle in the game and he can be very disruptive. He can shoot you out of a game. He can take everybody else out of their rhythm, and Mosley can do the same thing. So and they're both very talented players. Actually, I think actually Mosley is even better than Battle. But because I don't think he takes so many crazy shots, but he is a gunner, with no conscience. But anyway, so I'm sorry, Bunny, I got so wrapped up in Isaiah Mosley talk that who are you going with here?
Missouri.
All right. Well, what do you think, Drew?
Oh, Utah State in this one. We've been riding the Mountain West. I'm gonna stick with them. I really like their guard play. I really like Ashworth and Ashworth and Shulga, I think is the other one.
Yeah, the kid from the Ukraine.
Yeah, I just think that they both give you double-digit scoring. They're both giving you 4+ assists a game. They hit the 3 at a good clip. I was never really big on Missouri. I remember they had a great start to the season, beating up on a bunch of nobodies, and they got embarrassed by Kansas, and they had some good wins throughout the season for sure. I think as any team playing in the SEC will, because everybody you play is a high-quality team. But I just think that I think Utah State's got enough in the tank. I think Missouri is not good defensively. And I think those two guards are going to be able to kind of handle business. Advanced statistics-wise, Utah's actually kind of a darling. I think they're up to 18 overall in KenPom. I know Missouri's all the way down at 51. I'm gonna roll with. I'm gonna give Utah State the nod.
What do you think here, Jake?
Yeah, I'm going with Utah State as well. I might as well pick West teams, which is awful. Drew, I like your point. Missouri, yeah, they didn't play anybody. However, they played my Penn Quakers, so I'm going to take them out of the equation. But they played nobody, and they don't defend the three-point line well. And if there's one thing you need to do against Utah State, you need to defend the three-point line well. Even Ashworth, Max Solga, Taylor Funk from my area, 5-year guy at St. Joe's because he used the red shirt. He's been playing very well, shooting the lights out. Yeah. I'm going to take Utah State. They're going to gun. They're going to break the pressure. And if they can get past this Missouri pressure they're going to put on them, they're going to have some open threes, and I believe that they'll knock them down. So I'm going to roll with Utah State to hopefully wrap up a pretty good performance here from the Mountain West in the first round.
Yeah, I would say so. I like Missouri. I saw Utah State play Boise. I saw them play San Diego State. I don't know how many threes they hit in those games, but I think I could count them on this hand. So yeah. I just don't I think Missouri's a lot more athletic, and I think they can shoot as well as Utah State. Plus, Missouri has Kobe Brown, but it doesn't matter because based on our criteria, if we have a split, the lower seed moves on, so that means we have Utah State moving on. All right, next we have Arizona at Princeton. Anybody think Princeton can win here?
No.
Get back in the library, nerds. Arizona wins this one.
All right, now we're moving down to the East region, and we have Purdue against either Texas Southern or Fairleigh Dickinson. Anyone think that one of those 16 seeds can beat Purdue? Okay, we'll have Purdue moving on. Now, here's an interesting game. 8 seed Memphis against 9 seed Florida Atlantic, and that game's being played in Columbus, Ohio. Who you got, Bunny?
Yeah, that's a great game. Who did I pick in the brackets here? I went Memphis. They're playing great ball right now. They're long, they're athletic, they got 2 great scorers.
Kendrick Davis is unconscious.
Yeah, DeAndre Williams playing well. I like Memphis to move on here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I like Memphis. I'm afraid they're becoming too trendy because a lot of people have them winning the game in the next round as well.
There's good reason. There's good reason for that.
Yeah, there is.
I didn't know that, but I stopped. I stopped my bracket right there. I was like, oh shit. I think Memphis can beat Purdue.
I think they can too, but it just seems like everybody's doing it. But regardless, I'm going to take Memphis in this game. I think Kendrick Davis he's playing so well. He's a 5th-year guy playing with some urgency. He wants to make a name for himself in the tournament, and I think he will. But oh my God, I had so much trouble trying to pick this game. I went back and I kept going back and forth, but I ultimately landed on Memphis. But man, this is a tough game and a very fun one at that.
Yeah. I'm going with Memphis. Drew, do you have any comments? Because otherwise we have Memphis moving on.
Give me Memphis. Davis is giving you 28 a game over his last 3 games, shooting 55% from 3. I think he's going to be able to keep that momentum going. They just routed Houston. Give me Memphis.
Yep. All right. So now we have Duke against Oral Roberts. Anyone like Oral Roberts? Oral Roberts has got a good team with Connor Vanover and Max Asmus. But I just don't know if they have enough to beat Duke. Anybody think?
I like Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts.
Wow.
I think Vanover shoots the 3 okay. He's going to take Lively away from the hole. Oral Roberts loves to push tempo.
Mm-hmm.
Amos is as good as anybody in the country at scoring and getting the ball in the hole. And they also have another shooter by the name of who else do they have here? Isaac McBride, shooting close to 45% from 3. I think it's a bad matchup for Duke. Duke has been playing really, really well. I think they're going to get him in some sort of up-tempo game. And I like Oral Roberts to sweep this one out. I'm high on Oral Roberts' team as well.
No, I if Duke wasn't red hot, I could.
And that's my only thing. When I saw the bracket came out, I was like, it's like the last team I wanted to see.
It seems like they do it on purpose. They put 2 crap teams together, like I don't know, teams that are stinking it up, like Northwestern and Boise are kind of just slugging along, and then they have a team like Oral that has the potential to actually win a couple games, and they put them against a red hot team. So nobody else likes Oral. All right, so Duke moves on. That's the thing. I just thought, Oral Roberts has been playing so well, and my first thought was Lively's going to shut down Vanover, and that's end of game. So yeah. All right, so we have Tennessee against Louisiana. Of course, Tennessee doesn't have Zakai Ziegler. Anyone like Louisiana here?
I hate to do it again, guys. I do. You got to remember, Louisiana's 2 top players, right? Arizona transfer, Jordan Brown,
right,
and St. John's transfer. They are very, very, very good. Greg Williams from St. John's, Brown from Arizona. I think Ziegler's a big deal on a team that already can't put the ball in the hole. I think they're going to get the upset here.
I personally can't see that. Tennessee, it would have to be a really good offensive team to beat Tennessee, and Louisiana just isn't it.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to roll Tennessee here, but I think that's the only game they won.
All right, now we have Kentucky against Providence. Interesting matchup. We got here, Bunny.
That'll be a lot of fun with Hopkins in this one, huh?
Yeah. I was one of my first thoughts too.
I just think the big guards of Kentucky are going to be a little bit too much for Providence. I like Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I've seen this happen a few times. We're actually going to see it in the playing game tomorrow with a couple of Nevada guys of Warren Washington and Desmond Cambridge used to play for Nevada, now at Arizona State.
Right.
This happened a couple of times. Remember a couple of years ago, Marcus Foster, who originally played for K-State and then transferred to Creighton. He had to play his former team in the first round and lost. I've seen this happen. Bro, I don't like it on that front, but I don't know who's going to deal with Sheboy here. You're asking 2 guys who used to be at LaSalle University, which I spent a year there. Ed Croswell sat next to me in an orientation one time. So it's him and Clifton Moore, the bigs come over from LaSalle. You're hoping can defend Sheboy. And unfortunately, as big as a guy as Ed Croswell is, and he's a great rebounder, Sheboy's just that much better. I think that's the difference here. In addition to the bigger guards, like Bunni said, bothering Providence on the defensive end. So I'm going to roll with Kentucky here.
All right. I'm picking Kentucky too. Drew, you have any other thoughts?
Not a Calipari guy, but I got to go to Kentucky. I don't know how you ask a lineup that caps out at 6'8" to guard Oscar Sheboy.
Right.
Yeah. Also, does it bother you guys at all that if you have Ed Cooley, who's like teetering with the Georgetown job, does that bother you at all? There's other things going on during the week.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
I personally don't know if I believe it, but there's rumblings that people I think are trying to make it sound like it's a thing.
Aren't they talking about Mike Bray going to Georgetown too?
No, I was. I was talking.
I think that's actually going to happen. I don't know why they're leaking this because I think Cooley's happy where he is.
Right.
But regardless,
Yeah. All impressions I've ever got is Cooley's very happy. Bray going to Georgetown makes sense because he's the Matha guy. Yeah, and he's always recruited that area well, and yeah, I would not leave Providence for Georgetown if I was Ed Cooley.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think they have a fan drawing problem, and I think they will continue to do so. How about K-State, Montana State? Anybody like Montana State?
Oh.
All right.
I didn't get there on it. Love Danny Sprinkle. I love Bello and Raekwon Battle is a very good shooter and bouncy athlete in there. But I didn't get there with Montana State.
All right. All right. Next, we have a 7-10 matchup, which will be played in Columbus, Ohio, between Michigan State and USC. Should note that Drew Peterson and Vince Iwachukwu, the star freshman center, he hasn't played. The center hasn't played since March 2nd, and he's questionable. And Drew has been playing with a back. I think they both have back issues. Drew has been playing with a back issue, but he's really, the last 3 games, it's been like 2 for 12, 3 for 10, 3 for 11. He hasn't been playing well since that back issue. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I was high on this SC team until these injuries came. I think Peterson's a huge injury. He's playing, but he's playing limited. I like Michigan State to move on.
Yeah, I'm going to roll Michigan State as well. The bumps in the road. I saw this USC team get blown out at Oregon toward the end of the season. Just didn't get there on that. No, Andy Enfield is very good, especially against the spread in the tournament, but I'm going to roll with Tom Izzo here. Last year, they played Davidson on the 7-10 line. We're only 1.5 point favorite. They didn't cover. They still won. But, yeah, I'm going to roll Michigan State here. Why not? Tom Izzo, we all know, is so good in this month. So I'll take the Spartans and move on.
Yeah, if I thought USC was healthy, I would give this a lot longer thought. But right now, with Peterson, with the 2 guys being out, they've really struggled, the last couple of weeks. Drew, you have any counter thoughts there?
Nah, I'm going with Michigan State. I think this is March's, Izzo's month, and I love Drew Peterson. He was my dark horse pick to win Pac-12 Player of the Year, but if he can't go, I just don't think there's enough in the tank. Or even if he can go, but he's been playing the way he has been playing,
right?
There's just not enough in the tank for him to beat an Izzo-led squad.
Right. This team, Peterson's definitely gone, but if Boogie Ellis comes back and all these other kids, the young kids that they have come back, they should be a team to really deal with next year. We have Marquette against Vermont. Vermont seems like a yearly fixture in the tournament, but I don't think they've ever won a game, at least not in recent years. Anybody remember Vermont ever winning a game in the tournament?
They've come close.
Yeah, with what's his face, Anthony Lamb.
Yeah, Anthony Lamb, Ryan Davis last year.
Yeah.
I'm going with Marquette in this game. Though.
Anyone disagree?
Marquette.
All right. So we're going to go back. I'm going to go back up the South and we'll work our way down. So we got Bama, West Virginia. By the way, Bama's playing these first 2 rounds in Birmingham. So if they needed any more of an advantage. So any thoughts here on Bama, West Virginia?
Too much Bama. Too good.
Too much Bama.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. All right. We got San Diego State against Furman.
I like San Diego State. I think they're just tougher and more talented. Good guard play against this Furman team.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to roll San Diego State as well, and I think they can put up a fight in the next round.
Yeah, give me the San Diego State depth and defense.
All right. Now we have Creighton versus Baylor in Denver.
I just think Creighton's just too complete. And I think when you have too much of a guard-oriented offense, as Baylor does, it's going to get you in trouble. And I think Creighton's just the team to do that. So give me Creighton.
I'm going to take Creighton on this one too.
Yeah, I love Creighton as well. I think this is the game where Baylor's holes in their perimeter on defense start to show a little bit. And that's where Creighton takes advantage. Some dribble penetration, some lobs for Kalkbrenner, some inside-out game. I'm going to roll with the Blue Jays.
Something's wrong with this Baylor team.
Yep.
I don't know what it is, but for some reason I think, can you remember the last time a team that had a one and done and won the national championship?
One and done and won the national championship.
Yeah, a team that had a one and done guy and won the national championship.
Kentucky.
Probably the Duke. I would say there was that Duke team with Jaleel Okafor, Winslow, and
yeah, but it's been a while, right?
Yeah, no, it's probably been, what was that? That was probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, that Jaleel Okafor team was 2015.
They say all the right things about Keontae George, but I don't know. There's some body language issues going on there, and the team plays lousy defense, and his shot selection has a lot to be desired. I just don't like the chemistry on this Baylor team. So moving Creighton ahead. All right. Now we have an interesting Western matchup. Utah State versus Arizona in Sacramento.
Zona.
Yeah, I think the road ends here for Utah State. I would love for them to pull this out, but I'm going to roll Arizona here. I think the front court and the bigs is really what's going to give the Aggies trouble here.
All right.
Yeah. Utah State has good guards. Arizona's got Ballo and Tubelis. Give me the two towers.
Yeah, and I think if you put Arizona State's guards and wings on Utah State, they would be as productive as Utah State's, if not more. It's just they just don't have to carry the load with Arizona.
Just as a quick question, I'm taking Arizona. Is Kurt Kriisa? I know he had a huge bang up on his shoulder.
He's got a I think it's his left hand is boogered up and his right shoulder.
It's a shoulder.
But I don't think either. I don't think either are serious.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to lead this one off, gentlemen, because I thought long and hard about it. So I'm going to say Memphis to beat Purdue. I like Purdue. I like this Purdue team. They play the right way, but I just don't like what happens when you pressure them. And Memphis has that type of team that can apply the pressure defense and cause some havoc. And so I'm going to pick Memphis here.
You got to remember Memphis's core score. Memphis doesn't shoot a perimeter shot well, and Davis or Williams don't do it at all. They are a mid-range to an interior scoring team, and that is the heart of Purdue's defense. I like the inside out of Purdue. I think there's enough there to get enough points, and I like Purdue to move on in a tough game. I see what you're saying, though.
I see Kendrick. I see Zach Edey using drop coverage and Kendrick pulling up about 15 feet away and going joop, joop, joop.
Maybe.
I agree, and I'm worried that it's getting too trendy because I'm seeing everybody do it. But I'm gonna try and trust myself here that the defense and the pressure of these veteran Memphis guards are gonna get to these young guards on Purdue. And yeah, I think, Rich, you're exactly right. You want to beat this Purdue team. You got to bring Edey away from the basket. You got to get switches on him, and you got to play him in screen. So I think Memphis will do that, and they'll pull off a huge upset.
All right, Drew, you got to wait. No, I guess. Oh, that moves Memphis on. But do you have any comments about this, Drew?
Honestly, I haven't been. I'm good with Memphis. I'm not the biggest Purdue fan. I think teams started to slowly near the end of the season figure out how to, even if you couldn't beat them, how to keep games close. Right. And I think that blueprint's out there now, and Memphis could exploit it.
Right. See, it's not so much that you actually have to force them to turn the ball over. You don't even have to do that. By pressuring them, since they're totally a half-court oriented team, you've already taken part of the shot clock away and it just makes them that much harder for them to work their offense like they like to do. I love how Purdue plays the game. I would like to see them do well, but
Here's what's nuts. It's like Memphis, and I kind of what Jake's saying a little bit. It's like all of a sudden everyone's talking about Memphis like they're a 2 or a 3 seed. They've had their struggles along the line too during the year. But I agree with you on the matchup.
But if you love Houston, this is a team that played Houston close twice and beat them a third time. This is also a team that played Alabama really tight.
They did at Bama. I saw that game. I think they're a good team, but yeah.
All right. So now we have Duke at Tennessee.
Go with the hot Duke team. I think they're a lot better than Tennessee. You guys obviously didn't have Oral Roberts in Louisiana moving on, so I have to go with your choice here. So I'll go with Duke.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Duke as well. They're red hot, and I think what's been better with them is defensively, the perimeter's been playing better. Tyrese Proctor has gotten a lot better on both ends of the court, and with him and Roach, I think they'll be able to neutralize Santiago Vescovi and Tyreke in this game. And they're going to have size to match up with Plavsic and Kamwa and Mashak and some of those guys. So I'm going to roll with Duke here to keep it rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Duke as well. I think you guys hit the nail on the head. They have the size to match up, and if you look at some of the advanced numbers, they haven't been as good as Tennessee defensively, obviously, but they've been a really solid defensive team. Nozekai Ziegler obviously hurts Tennessee's ceiling. You're missing one of your best players, and I think Duke has more guys who can go get their own shot. You can give the ball to, whether that's a Kyle Flapowski, whether that's we haven't even seen Derek Whitehead kind of hit his potential. If he has a game here or there it comes along, that could be an X factor for this team. I'm take Duke.
I agree. All right, we got Kentucky at Kansas State.
A little too much scoring for Kansas State, and I think they're going to get it done over Kentucky and just put up enough points over a struggling Kentucky offense in this one.
Wait, you like K-State?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm actually going to roll with Kentucky here. White, again, he's going to pose a problem to anybody and everybody that he plays against. And they have some even they obviously Marquise Dewell being a small guard, they have a Sabri Wheeler, they're going to Cason Wallace, and they're going to be able to throw at him. And I think the depth of Kentucky here and their size is going to be the difference. So I'm going to take the Wildcats in a battle of Wildcats, because I can't just say I'll take the Wildcats. That could be in there. I'm going to go with Kentucky.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. What do you think, Drew?
I love Cason Wallace. That was my freshman of the year kind of guy. Big fan of his, but I think this Kentucky team, I'm just not really sold on him. I mean, we know what Oscar does, but again, the book's kind of out on what he does well, what he doesn't do well. I think, Fredrickson's been arguably one of the biggest disappointments in terms of a big addition to a team. They brought him in to shoot the ball, and he's been horrible at doing that. I'm going to go K-State.
What Jake and Bunni said. Wait. Who went with who?
Jake's got Kentucky. Bunni and I have Kansas.
Right. So I'm the deciding factor. This one's tough. Jake's right. Kentucky has Shigwe, which is a tough matchup for K-State. They have more depth. And yet they're inconsistent as hell, K-State's not inconsistent. They're just the opposite. They're pretty damn reliable. I'm going to go with K-State. Though I will say, I think they're a little overrated they're a 3 seed. They're a 3 seed. Okay. All right, now we have Michigan State against Marquette. Did these two meet? Why do I have a feeling these two met during the regular season? Am I right or wrong about that?
I don't believe so.
I believe you might be thinking of Baylor if you're thinking of guys in green jerseys.
Okay. Well, I know Marquette rolled Baylor.
This Marquette team has a toughness about them, all represented by Kolek. I like Marquette to move on.
This is tough. This is really, really tough because I think they're a little overvalued. This Marquette team, not a lot of size. I'm going to pick them here, though. But I think this will be a very, very tough game that Michigan State could pull off an upset. I will take the Golden Eagles, though, to advance to another round.
I love this Marquette team. I love them. They're just athletic, and you know what? Michigan State, the one thing that they seemingly have trouble with every year is turnovers, and Marquette forces turnovers left and right. I think Marquette's got this one.
Yep, I'm with you, Rich. I think Marquette. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Marquette's just a better basketball team.
Yeah. All right. So now moving over to the other side, we have Houston. This is back to the Midwest. This is back. Remember, this is in Birmingham. So we have Houston, maybe with or without Sasser, against Auburn.
Houston.
Yeah, I think Houston smashes them in this game.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think Auburn, like I said, is kind of like a Houston light almost. And Houston is the number 1 seed for a reason. Nobody does what Houston does in terms of causing that controlled chaos, crashing the glass, just playing super hard. And if they have Sasser and he's even just 80%, he'll be the best scorer on the court. So I'm going to go with Houston.
Right. All right. Next up, another great game. Assuming Norchad Omer is there, Miami versus Indiana. That's a Sweet 16 type of matchup that we're going to get in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's dependent on O'Meara. Jeez, what a tough one. What a great point guard matchup, though, with Long and Shafino.
Yeah.
Jackson Davis just has a motor that won't quit. I like Indiana to edge him out. That's a tough one. Jeez, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm gonna go Miami in this one.
I
think this is a tough one. I think Omer is the X factor. If he's out there, I would take Miami more confidently. But without him, I mean, Trace has been arguably the best player in the country for stretches, and Miami does not have a big, even with Omer, who is on his level. But without him, they really don't. But I'm gonna go Miami. I love that 3-headed guard rotation. I've been high on them all year. And I think this is the type of game that if Omer can go, if he rested the Drake game and he can go, just to be a body out there to bang with Jackson Davis, I'm taking Miami. But this is a battle. I think this might be the best game looking at this that we get in the second round, potentially.
Yeah, it's just a shame they're meeting so early. Like I said, this is a
yeah.
Sweet 16 type of matchup.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Miami here, and I'm going to go. I have Drake winning this game. Jesus, what a sucker I am. But if it comes down to Indiana, Miami, I'm going to roll with Miami. My philosophy, it's a guards game. Miami has the better guards in this game.
I'm going to go with Indiana. But since Miami is the higher seed, Miami moves on. All right. So now we have Iowa State versus Xavier, and this is in Greensboro, North Carolina, if that matters. Bunni, what do you got? Xavier or Iowa State?
Oh, since I had Kennesaw beating Xavier, what a tough one here. Give me Xavier. I think it's a good matchup for him to get by Iowa State.
Yeah, I'll take Xavier. I think Xavier just plays a cleaner brand of basketball. And again, they're a little bit more consistent. I think Iowa State's offense already isn't great. And if it goes cold, it's like 45 points scoring cold. So I'll take Xavier. I think Sully Boom's the best player on the court in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So, I actually think Kobe Jones is the best player on the court, but Boom is probably the best scorer. All right. So I too like Xavier. Jake?
Yeah, I'm going to roll Xavier as well. I think the scoring gets them by in this game, even against a good defensive team, and who I think will be Mississippi State.
All right. Here's a good one. A&M versus Texas, and this will be played in Des Moines.
I think they're equal in the sense of defensively and athletically, in my opinion. And I think Texas A&M just has a little bit more offense to get it done. I like Texas A&M moving on.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games of the round of 32. Probably my favorite, honestly, my favorite possible matchup here. But man, I really like your pick, Bunni. I really like A&M. I'm going to roll with Texas here because I think they can make a deep run.
Drew, we got one A&M.
This is tough.
It's so hard.
This is so tough because Texas at their best can win the whole thing. But Texas A&M, I think, matches up with Rich, are you leaning any way in particular? Do you want to maybe take it?
I like Texas. I like Texas. I like the way they're playing. I really like the way the four guards are playing. I think as a group, that's tough to beat right there.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think the guard play gets them over the edge. I think this is Texas in what could end up being like the best game of the tournament kind of vibe is what I get from this one. Like this could just be an absolute battle back and forth. So I'll take Texas, but this is a game right here.
All right. So Texas moves on. All right. Now I'm going back to the West bracket. We have Kansas versus Arkansas in Des Moines.
I'm not a Kansas guy. And I think this is going to be Mr. Smith's coming out party. And Arkansas is going to show off their athleticism. And they're going to beat Kansas to move on.
And this is another tough one. I'm going to roll Kansas here, but man, this is tough. This is tough. If Arkansas wins, I don't think, I'd be the least bit surprised. But I'm going to roll with the Jayhawks here.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jayhawks. I'm going to go with the experience, coming off of you got Bill Self. Well, hopefully everything's okay with him pacing the sidelines. I think Jalen Wilson is the most experienced, the best player in this game, at least in terms of where they're at right now. So I'll take Kansas, but I think Arkansas is going to give them a good run. And I think we're going to see Anthony Black and hopefully Nick Smith in particular really, really come alive.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a fun game. But boy. I'm going to go conservative and say Kansas, but boy, I almost went Arkansas. All right. So now we have St. Mary's versus Connecticut in Albany.
St. Mary's, this is just a rough matchup for them. And the thing about St. Mary's is they're going to force UConn to play the way UConn needs to play. And that's slow. They're going to force feet no-go. They're going to go inside out. I like UConn to advance in a very, very good game over a game Gales team.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'm going to roll with UConn as well. I think this is a game where Mitchell Saxon's going to have his hands full with Sanogo and Donovan Clingan. So I'm going to roll with UConn. Probably a bit of a home court advantage for them as well in this game if they were to get there. So I'll take the Huskies and move to Sweet 16.
I agree. I think this is UConn's game to lose.
Saxon was a no-show against Gonzaga in the last matchup, and he's gonna have more than his hands full. I think UConn rolls. All right. So now next we have TCU versus the Zags in Denver.
I think you know where I'm at on this one, Rich.
What?
You know where I'm at on this one. I'm going with the Zags.
We saw this in the middle of the season where it seems like every time Gonzaga has their back against the wall, they really figure out how to play. They force feed Timmy. They go inside out. They did it to Bama when they beat one of the best teams in the country when they were struggling. And we're starting to see Gonzaga play the same way right now. I like the Zags to move on.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Gonzaga as well. I will say, if Eddie Lampkin was healthy in this game, I would be taking TCU. I just think it's that big of a difference. Xavier Cork's very prone to get into foul trouble, and if that's a problem, well, then you either have Doumbia from TCU, who hasn't played a lot, or you're going to have Jacoby Cole, who's going to have to play small and guard Drew Timme, and that's not ideal. So I'm going to roll with Gonzaga here, but I really wish Eddie Lampkin was healthy so I could roll with my Frogs.
Yeah, most teams would be intimidated by TCU's fast break, but the Zags it used to be their wheelhouse. Maybe not so much this year, but still, I just think Gonzaga has too many weapons. So everyone's going with the Zags. All right, we have Boise State versus UCLA in Sacramento.
I really like this Boise team. I like their starting five. I have for a while. Like I said earlier, the Jalen Clark injury is a huge deal. I like Boise to move on.
I'm going to roll UCLA here. I still think they have enough even without Jalen Clark. It's such a killer injury because, man, I'm going to pick them to win it all if they had him. But I still think they have enough to get by this Boise State team. So I'm going to roll with the Bruins to move on.
Yeah, I agree with Jake. I think they're not going to really start to miss Jalen Clark until this next round. I think they can get through. I think Adembona is for sure back for this game. And I just think they're going to have the overwhelming talent. Now is where the Clark injury is going to really start to hurt from the Elite Eight on, but they got enough to get through here. Yeah. Or the Sweet 16 on. Right.
I agree, Drew. And I also agree, Jake. I think I would probably pick UCLA to win it all as well if Jalen Clark was around, but definitely like UCLA in this round. I'm not even sure if Boise's getting by Northwestern. All right, so we're going back to the South. We have Alabama versus San Diego State. This will be played in Louisville.
Bama.
Yeah, I'm going to roll Bama. I think the Aztecs can keep it close, but the firepower of this Bama team is just going to be too much. So I'll take Bama. I think in a closer one than people think, but I'm going to roll with the tie.
Agreed. I don't think San Diego State can keep up offensively. The defense they'll hang around, but Alabama just got too many ways to get buckets, and Brandon Miller is just flat out better than anybody that's on San Diego.
Yeah, agreed. Bama. All right, now we have a rematch of Maui. Creighton versus Xavier. I believe that was a 1-point game. Arizona won. And again, this is being played in Louisville.
I like Creighton. Kalbrenner, real difference maker. Creighton to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is where Creighton gets them, and I think Arizona falls. I think this is a game where Kirk Kriisa fails to play up to the standard they need him to. And I think regardless, Arizona will lose at some point in this tournament. I think it'll be this game because Kirk Kriisa plays bad. So I'm going to take Creighton. They start to come together and be that team that we all knew and thought was a consensus top 10 team to start the year.
Yep, agreed. I'm going to roll Creighton here. I think Kalkbrenner's got the size and the ability to give problems, to hang with Ballo down low. I think Shireman, shooting ability, if they go a little bit smaller, he can pull people away from the basket. I think Kaluma is a good enough athlete to hang with Tabellis if that's who he's checking. Again, Creighton's not the deepest team, but I think their starting five is as good as any. I'll go with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I would personally. It doesn't matter now because all three of you went with Creighton, but I would have probably leaned toward Arizona. But like I said, I think the last time they played, it was like 89, 88.
It was a 2-point game.
Oh, was it?
It was 81-79.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. So I expect it to be something similar, but we have Creighton moving on. All right. So now we have Memphis versus Duke in New York City. It says, is that being played in the Garden?
Yes, sir.
The Dukies, the Blue Devils.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of Duke alumni going to be there if they get to play the world's most famous arena. So I'm going to take Duke as well.
It's not Duke alumni; it's everyone who's glued themselves to that team.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Duke fans there.
Yeah. Drew, we got 2 votes for Duke.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke here. I think Duke's just playing overall better as a team. I think Memphis has 2 guys that they can ride, but I think that Purdue game is going to take a lot out of them. And I just think Duke, they just have the ability to play in a variety of different ways. Their defense is solid. They've got size. They've got perimeter guys who can get it done, especially if Derek Whitehead starts getting going the way we think he can. So I'll give it to Duke.
Yep, got to agree. All right, now we got Kansas State versus Marquette in the Garden.
Marquette's just a dog of a team that just seems to get it done. I like Marquette to move on.
Yeah, I'm going to go Marquette as well if they had to play K-State. They didn't have too bad of a run at the Garden last week, and I think if they got there, they would probably continue that. Me personally, my bracket, I have Kentucky here beating Marquette, but if you're going to give me K-State, I'll take the Golden Eagles to move on.
All righty. All right, back to the Midwest. These games are in Kansas City. We have Houston and Miami.
Houston.
Yeah, I think this is a game where the size or lack thereof of Miami starts to creep in, and I really think this is a dominant win for Houston, and the glass is what gets them there.
Totally agree with Jake. Houston's going to just even if Norchad's healthy, I mean, the way Houston crashes the glass from all 5 positions, the size, the length, the athleticism, I just don't know if Miami is going to be able to hit the shots that they need to. or the shots that they normally make against that defense. Houston's going to come, and they're going to come hot and heavy. Give me the Cougs.
All righty. I have to agree. All right. So now we have Xavier versus Texas again in Kansas City.
Xavier versus Texas, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have either one going off the first round. Give me Texas. Give me Texas.
Yeah, I'll take the Longhorns as well. I think it's the depth and the defense of this team, and I think that they could actually. I think they could outscore Xavier here if they wanted to, because Texas is going to sit down and play defense, and this is a game where I think they can definitely beat them. So I'll roll Texas here, and please, if he has a good run, actually, regardless if he has a good run the tournament or not, give Rod Terry a contract. He's earned it.
Yes, definitely. Drew?
Yeah, I'll go with Texas, and I think Jay kind of hit the nail on the head with this one too. I think Xavier is going to look to try to put up points. I think Texas can do that, and they can also sit down in that chair and defend. So I think they have a little bit more multifaceted approach to winning this game, whereas Xavier's just going to be trying to put up points. So I'll take Texas.
I have to agree again. All right. Going to the West region now, we have Kansas versus Connecticut in Las Vegas.
Okay. I like UConn.
I think the size of UConn will give Kansas a problem, and hopefully Bill Self is healthy and he can get back on the sidelines. And if that's the case, I can't pick against Bill Self for a guy who, in his 2 tournament appearances at UConn, has lost to Teddy Buckets, who almost dropped 40 on him, and Mark Turgeon. So I'll roll with Kansas.
I'm not really a big Kansas guy, but I think that, again, they've got enough. There's a bit of a pedigree there. And I think coaching is the X factor in this one. I think talent-wise, both these teams deserve to be here, but I'm going to go with Kansas.
I'm going to go with Kentucky. I like
Connecticut.
I keep
It's late. It's late.
I'm going to go with Connecticut. They have better depth. They have better size. I think they have more offensive options. With what's his face, the defensive player, Kevin McCullough. Even if he plays with him or without him, they're so limited offensively. Kansas is, and we've been saying this all year. Connecticut has this. Who's the little guard that started from McCullough the other day? He's like, I think he started at Drake.
Yes, Afu.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, come on. That's your option. I got to go with Connecticut. And since we have a tie and they are the lower or the higher seed, actually, depending however you want to look at it. So Connecticut moves on. All right. So now we have Gonzaga versus UCLA, also in Las Vegas.
Gonzaga. Too much Gonzaga.
Taking the Zags, man. Vegas is where they're comfortable. They go to the WCC tournament there every year, and this is where Jalen Clark, not having him, hurts. This is a guy that you want to put on a Julian Strother, maybe play a few minutes here and there on a Drew Timme. Not having him, especially with all the weapons the Zags have on the perimeter, this is where not having him hurts.
Yeah, and that's what swings this game for me. I'm taking Gonzaga strictly on the fact they don't have Jalen Clark, because if they did, I would take UCLA to beat them. So, I'll roll with Gonzaga with the injury.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, I still think UCLA has a chance. I'm really impressed with Amari Bailey. But, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You guys all went with Gonzaga, so... But yeah, I would think longer and harder about UCLA than you guys. But all right, so we're down to the Elite Eight. Moving on to the South, we have Alabama versus Creighton in Louisville.
Alabama's ride comes to an end. I like this Creighton team a lot. I think they are. I've been saying it the whole time. I think they are complete. I think they have a rim protector. I think they have a true point guard that can lead down the stretch where Bama doesn't. I like Creighton to get the upset win over Bama.
I like where you're going with that, but it's hard for me to pick against the Tide. I feel like this is a region where they have a very, very favorable draw to get all the way to Houston, and I believe they will. And they'll win this game and they'll go there. So I'm going to roll with Alabama.
Gotta go with Alabama. They have a really, really solid resume. They've played teams as good, if not better, than Creighton all year. And I just think it's too much athleticism. They're riding high. I'll take the Tide.
Too much depth.
Yeah.
Which Creighton doesn't have. I mean, Alabama just has so many different weapons. If somebody's having a night off, somebody else can step in. Got to go with Bama. All right. So now in the East, in the Garden, we have Duke versus Marquette.
Dukies, just a little too much, playing too good a ball. I like the Dukies to move on.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Now, again, it feels like it's just trendy. I feel like everybody's picking Duke to go to the Final Four,
That's
but
true.
I think this is where Marquette runs into a problem with their size, really not having anybody besides Iguodaro and some sparing minutes from Ben Bold off the bench. They have to play Joplin sometimes as a small ball big, and I think this is where Duke puts a hurting on them on the boards and down low, and Duke makes the Final Four.
I'm going to go with Marquette here. I do agree with what you guys are saying. The size of Duke scares
Almost
me,
did
but
that,
that size has been really inconsistent throughout the year for me. This is a Marquette team that has played guys like Sonogo. They played Kalkbrenner, so they've played some good bigs. And yes, Duke's won 9 in a row, but I think Marquette might be up to 9 as well. I'm gonna give Marquette the nod here.
Duke has been turnover prone all year. They're young, inexperienced, and Marquette is one of the best teams in the country at taking ball away. I like Marquette. So Marquette being
Duke advances, though, right?
But Duke advances anyway, right? All right.
Oh,
All right.
well,
All right.
Marquette advances. Marquette's the 2.
No, but we take the underdog. We take the underdog.
I
And in this
apologize.
case,
Okay,
believe it or not,
Thank you. Sorry.
Duke
Higher,
is the
lower, you're right.
underdog. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're back to the
the.
Midwest. We have Houston versus Texas in Kansas City. Last chance to stop Houston before they get home.
Texas. You know, I've been forced to take them the whole time. You know, since the first round, I'm tired. Okay, I'm tired of it. Houston, it's not going to be close. Enough of this Texas team. Enough of what they supposedly can do. Houston the whole way.
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston as well. This Texas team, you know, especially Marcus Carr, he tends to dribble a lot and play some hero ball and try and put too much on himself if they get into a rut offensively. I feel like that could happen if this game were to take place. So I'll take the Cougars, the coaching advantage, and I just think defensively they could turn this Texas team into the bad habits that have haunted them this year.
Oh, this one's hard. And it's not so much because I don't think Houston can beat Texas. I think Houston always is prone to that one offensive game where they struggle. And I just feel like if that's to play 7 games in a row after, I'm going to go Texas. I like Houston. I prefer Houston. I love Kelvin Sampson, but I'm going to go Texas.
I'm going Texas too. That means Texas knocks out Houston before they get to Houston.
You have to choose here again.
This is a team that put up 45 points against Kent State. They can look so bad offensively. We don't even know Sasser's going to be around for this game. Texas moves on to the Final Four. All righty. So in the West, it's down to UConn and Gonzaga.
I think I'm going to roll with – go ahead. Wait, go ahead, Bunni, if you were going to talk.
No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Okay. So I feel like I'm kind of being forced to pick the Huskies here, but if there's a year they're going to do it, I think this is the best team they have. They have the size to go up against Drew Timme, and especially a guy like Plingen, even a young guy. It's size and length and athleticism, but especially just bigger, longer guys that bother Drew Timme. And I feel like they can get after it, and they can, Jackson could shut down a Malachi Smith or a Strawther and neutralize that. So I'm going to take UConn here.
I think Gonzaga is going to force them to get up and down. And that's the one thing that they're better than UConn at. I think they're going to outscore them. It's going to be a high-scoring game, and I like Gonzaga to move on.
Yeah, I'm taking the Zags here. Again, high scoring game. They can attack in a variety of ways. I think this is going to be a really, really, really high scoring affair. I'm just going to go with the Zags. I don't really feel too strongly either way, but they're my team. Drew Timmy's my guy. The Zags have guys that have been there before. I'll take them.
I'm going to go with UConn. I think that front line of Connecticut gives Timmy too much problems, and I know the Zags have seemingly turned it around, but their turnaround has coincided with West Coast Conference play. Now they have to go back to playing the big boys where they didn't look they look kind of shaky. So I think that that front line of Connecticut at least will slow Timmy down enough where they sneak away with a win. Again, great depth on that team. All right, so now we have our Final Four. Alabama. This is at Houston. We have Alabama versus Duke.
Duke, because I don't like Bama. Out of here,
So I got to pick between Duke or Alabama.
Yeah,
Like, it's like Jesus. The two like
It's tough because I'm a Duke fan, but I think this Bama team is just kind of destined to make the Final Four, make the championship. So as much as I'm a Duke homer, I'm not going to make a homer pick here, and I'm going to take Bama, the better, the deeper.
I'm going Bama. I actually had Duke losing in the round before this, so I definitely have Bama beating them.
This might be the only time I ever root for Duke.
Agreed.
And I loved this Alabama team up until the incident, but I got to think that Alabama's going to win. So Alabama moves on to the championship game. So now we have Texas versus, you didn't get rid of Texas, Bunny. They're still there.
I know.
Texas
I'm going to show you guys.
Versus Connecticut, and Texas should have somewhat of a home court advantage in their home state.
Yeah, I think you guys know which way I'm going here. I'm going to go UConn. I'm going to go UConn over Texas. I'll leave it at that.
I'm going to take Texas in this game. I think if UConn were to get that far, they have to play some guards like the one that Texas has. I think he'll have trouble. This is a game where Tristan Newton will struggle against the defense, the pressure these guys bring, and then I'll take Texas to move on to the championship game.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm taking Texas.
I am taking UConn, and Texas really, their front line is on the smallish side. Dylan DeSue is maybe 6'9". The transfer from Creighton,
Christian Bishop.
Yeah, Christian Bishop, maybe 6'8". So, I just think their front line just doesn't match up well. Of course, we haven't even talked about him. Jordan Hawkins is just, perhaps the best shooter in the country. So I like UConn here. So we have a problem. Oh, no, wait. UConn is a 4 seed. Texas is a 2 seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So UConn moves on. So now, championship game in Houston, Alabama versus Connecticut.
I'm going to say one thing about Bama getting to the finals, and one thing a lot of people aren't talking about, and the reason I haven't picked them too often. The attention they're going to get media-wise of what happened with regard to the murder of Janae Harris is overwhelming. And when you start playing teams that are as equal to you as talented, they don't have that attention and that energy going to answer those questions with that type of anxiety. It is a huge, huge deal. I would not be surprised if Bama gets upset early in the tournament because of this. With that being said, we got into the finals, and who do we got to go against? UConn?
Yep.
I got UConn beating.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I personally think talent-wise, off the charts. They're just as there's a reason they're the number 1 overall seed. They are that good. But if I wouldn't be surprised if they got upset early. And I think if it got to this point where it was a Final Four and it's multiple media days in a row of just bam, 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 asking about all, everything off the court, I think it could affect them. And I'll take the Huskies to win it all.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we don't really always see the number one overall seed win this whole thing and make it to the finals in the first place. In this situation, I would take UConn. Alabama's not going to have a lot of room for error, obviously. You're being led by a freshman who's dealing with a lot of things off the court.
You're being led by – there's 4 freshmen playing.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, you're 4. But I'm talking about, like, the guy is a freshman. I mean, we've seen other great young talents.
We haven't mentioned the guy's name. Let's keep it that way.
You have those situations. I mean, we've seen a lot of really great freshmen, superstar freshmen, not get the job done. And so I'll take UConn in this situation. I think the moment might just be a little too big, the pressure a little too grand. Huskies pull it out.
I'm not necessarily a religious man, but somehow karma's got to come into play somewhere in this tournament. I'm going to go with UConn too. So there we go. UConn's our champion. All right, gentlemen. If we have a few minutes left, let's make our final 4 picks. Give me. I'll start with Bunni, and I also need your regional sleepers. This could be anybody from a 7 through a 16, and basically you will get points for every win they earn, plus the points you would get for your Final Four and your runner-up and your champion. So I need a Final Four, a runner-up, a champion, and 4 sleeper picks, 1 in each region.
You got it. I'm going to go my Final Four. Houston, Gonzaga, Creighton, and I've had this messed up a few times, and I am going to go with Purdue. Wow. It's going to be Creighton and Houston in the finals. Houston's going to win it. My sleeper picks in each region that I see to be is going to be it's 7 or worse, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go in the South. I'm going to go with Missouri. In the East, I am going to go with Oral Roberts. In the Midwest, I am going to go with Colgate. And in the West, I am going to go with I'm going to go with Boise State.
All right.
So I got as my Final Four. It sucks because I have a couple ones in here and I don't like that. I hate picking chalk. But Alabama, Duke, Houston, and Kansas. And then I have Houston over Alabama in the championship game. My sleeper in the South region is going to be Furman. My sleeper in the East region is Memphis. My sleeper in the Midwest is Drake. And then my sleeper in the West region, I got a funny feeling about Arkansas. I think that Kansas game is going to be tougher than a lot of people think. And I think they could be, from there, they could make some noise. So I will take Arkansas as an 8 in the West.
All right. Drew.
All right. My Final Four, I'm going to go.
By the way, Drew, I got to tell you, you are in last place in the standings. So this is your time.
I'm in last place. I haven't had as much time to pick. I just haven't as many games to call. Statistically, I'm okay. If you look at my percentage, I'm right there. I just haven't had nearly as many games to call. So, optics, the numbers matter. All right. I'm gonna go with out of the South. I'll go Alabama. Out of the East, I'll go Marquette. Out of the West, I'm gonna go my Zags. And out of the Midwest, I'm gonna go Texas. For my final game, I'm gonna go Texas versus Alabama, and I'm going to take Texas. Sleeper teams coming out of the East, I will agree with Jake. I'm going to go Memphis. Coming out of the Midwest, I'm going to go Texas A&M. Coming out of the South, I'm also going to go Furman. Oof. And out of the West, I'm going to say Illinois.
Good one. All right. Here we go, gentlemen. And as much as I regret it, I got to say Alabama in the South. I am going to go Marquette in the East. I am going to go Texas in the Midwest, and I am going to go UConn. This is actually the exact Final Four that we have here, and I'm actually going to go with the same result that we have: Connecticut over Bama. My sleepers, I'm going to go with Mizzou, like Bunni. I am going to go with Memphis, like Jake. I am going to go with Penn State. And in the Midwest, and in the West, in the West, I'm going to go with Arkansas, who again, don't be surprised if they don't end up in the Final Four. I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Illinois, the winner of that game, could do some serious damage. And I will say, several strange things about this tournament. One is, to me, all of a sudden, Alabama just seems like the clear front runner, and yet most people don't, outside of Alabama, don't want to root for them because of the circumstances. Beside Alabama, everybody else you look at, you're like, damn, everybody has warts, like major warts. Usually there's like 3 or 4 teams where you think could win it. And it's a real tough choice. But if I didn't feel that Alabama doesn't even deserve to be here, I don't know who I'd pick. But anyway, and the injuries, all these injuries that accumulated last week, throw a monkey wrench. Miami's a team I thought could be an Elite 8 team again, but we don't know. Houston, could win it all, or they could lose in the second round. So very, very odd things, but well done, gentlemen. I appreciate your time, and next week we'll get back to our usual show, per usual. And folks, you can always get in touch with us if you want to ask a question. You can email it to admin@hoopsprospects.com. We also take questions via social media, on Twitter @HoopsProspects, on Instagram @TheHoopsProspects, and on Facebook @HoopsPros. Hopefully we'll have some of those guests that we've been promising you for the last few weeks, but I'm not going to repeat their names. That seems to be bad luck. And we'll get back to, I guess next week we'll be talking about the Sweet 16 and maybe doing a little stock reporting on what we see in the first 2 rounds. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
The madness
God,
is here.
March.
I think it's going to be a fun tournament.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this tournament, and I think part of it is because, Rich, like you said, there is a lot of parity. This is going to be make for a really, really fun March. I just hope Alabama gets knocked out sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I'll take my lump on those points. I'll sacrifice those 10 points.
Yeah, me too.
It means they're knocked out.
I might ultimately in our bracket contest that we're doing for money, I may pick them, but I'll also won't be rooting for them.
I'll fall on the sword for that one.
Speaking, all right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. And before you go, did you guys all get my invite to the bracket?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And be sure to note, you are rewarded for picking upsets. Because you get the difference. You get the difference in the seeding. So not only do you get the points in the round, but like if you pick a 12 to beat a 5, you get 7 additional points.
I like that.
Yeah. So, and that goes for every round. So that I always found that to be a fun way to do it.
You can't just pick the chalk, Jake, all day and expect to win.
No one ever accused Bunni of doing that.
No, it really worked well for me last week in the in the conference tournaments. I did good. Yeah.
All right, guys, it was fun, and thanks for your time. Sorry it took so long to set up, but a lot of basketball to watch over the past week, and yeah. So,
Take
all
care,
right.
fellas. Have a good one, Drew.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
Enjoy the game.
Yep.